Hello and welcome everyone to the NACL presented by The Real Cost. We are getting into our final stretch of play before we head into the Riot Games arena. So that means the stakes are only going to be at their highest, man. To bring you the action, my name is Eric Desarux Beltran. Joining me on the desk, of course, it is Matthew Cubby Samuelson. Lots of things to be excited about. We got LA Finals. We got Brazil Tier 2 Americas. We also got a pumpkin spice latte season has just hit, Cubby. So
Ooh.
we're
Well,
pumped up.
you know, I did have a latte this morning. I did not hit the PSL yet. It's tough. I can't really get into the vibe in LA. The weather's always the same. I miss feeling that crisp fall breeze in the Midwest that so many of you are going to start to feel as we approach Labor Day weekend and beyond. But as we get deeper into the seasons, Desarex, I like what you highlighted right off the bat. Winner today, first team to make the Riot Games arena for the live NACL finals, and first team to qualify for that brand new Tier 2 Americas tournament.
Yeah, good time to bring up the bracket and start to break it down. There is going to be one little correction. Actually, I believe it's already been corrected. Finals, you can see right there, 3 p.m. Price is going to be about $7 a ticket if you want to join in. I'm just going to say, man, LCS Finals is happening in the YouTube Theater. Riot Games Arena, only 10 miles away, takes place after the LCS Finals. Maximize your time, double your League of Legends, come watch NACL Finals. But let's get into this bracket, Cubby.
Yeah, excited. I mean, this is the week where by the end of the week, we have 4 best of 5s being played over the next 4 days. And we're going to find out who is participating in that live final at the Riot Games Arena. And also the second team that will be joining the winners today to represent NACL at the Tier 2 Americas tournament. So a huge week and honestly a huge stretch because we also had the promotion tournament in between our final best of 5 and that live final. So we literally have best of 5s for the next 11 days in NACL. You're a fan of the ecosystem. So we're all ready to go for it. I hope you guys are too. Excited for some good league over the next few weeks.
It really has not been stopping because a lot of these games have gone the distance. Full 5s, man. And a Fearless, it makes it that much more exciting. And what an exciting matchup for today. We have Dragonsteel taking on Fear Starforge. This is our first and second place team in the regular season, Cubby.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like each team deserved to be here to fight for that first spot in finals. But Dragonsteel, the ones that did it in far more dominant fashion, they smoke Supernova in that best of 3 series. And now we get to see our top dogs who have a 10-0 series score, a ridiculous game score to boot on top of it, get tested against the top team. And we're going to see how they do in this new best of 5 Fearless format, which I feel like is going to be fine because all 5 players you see on your screen right now got some pretty deep pools and have been really dominating our all-pro lists, as a lot of names were on the third team all-pros. So you got to imagine the team 3 series wins more than everyone else, going to be populating a lot of the second and first team all-pro spots.
For Dragonsteel, follow up a perfect season with a clean sweep to start. Let's look over at Fear Starforge, however. I've been very excited with the way Fear have been handling a lot of their players. They've flown them out to Cincinnati. Even flew out Kiao, Ito, JJ is over there as well. So you have the entire squad that is currently under one building doing work. And man, it's providing a platform where these players can absolutely shine. And there's a lot of talent on this roster, Cody.
Yeah, I love it. I know that Dragonsteel has been together all year, but the fact that these guys get to come together when push comes to shove is great. Love the fact that you highlight the supporting staff as well, Desarex. I have a lot of respect for JJ and Ito in particular, not to mention Coach Cal, who's been with Fear since the start, as this team continues to put up better and better performances. And this roster of 5 players that have had time on the LCS stage have a chance to do something that they've never been able to do in LCS, which is go international.
Now, we do got to talk about some of the stakes. You know, we have the larger ones, top 2. You get to go to the finals in Los Angeles. You get to go to Brazil and participate in the Tier 2 Americas. Well, there's something else at stake as a bet was thrown down. Let's go ahead and pull up the tweet. Starforge Systems have called this the Battle of X's. Fear X Starforge, Maryville X Dragonsteel. If Fear win, we're going to get some Brandon Sanderson books sent over to Fear. If Dragonsteel win, Starforge Systems will send them a custom computer. Now, we already know Maryville agreed to this one. Sanderson even retweeted it. I'm accepting this as a handshake, Cubby. We got stakes adding on to the stakes we already have.
Yeah, you know, I gotta say, I feel like given, you know, the recent controversy about Asmund and, you know, his hygiene, he's kind of selling low. I've been taught to sell high, which is exactly what Brandon Sanderson is doing, as he just announced his new book arc, the Stormlight Archives. The first arc's going to be finally complete. There was like cover art, huge announcements today. So they're selling high. So I feel like, as the favored team coming in, Dragonsteel, they have a little bit of favor in terms of, what's going down between the trade. PC is worth more, but I like to.
Okay, technically you could pick something from Asmon's room, but we're not about that. We need hygiene.
We're taking the computer.
Here.
We're gamers here. Yeah.
We're taking the computer. And we're taking it straight to draft for game number 1. Dragonsteel, Fear, Starforge. Now, the draft plans that we've seen from a lot of teams, and I know you could break this down better, Cubby, is you have to get rid of some of these power picks before we get in the later stages where you don't exactly have bans that you can utilize.
Yeah, it's really interesting because at some point you have to let the OPs through. So champs like Aurora, champs like Senna, if they don't get through in the first, 3-4 games, you are going to see them in game 5 where there are no bans. So it's been really interesting to see teams and their different approaches into this. Of course, Senna is on the table and is actually going to be let up. Now, as this has evolved, I like Seraphine into Senna. I think it's very playable. So if you do go for something like a first pick Senna, you can respond with Seraphine and feel pretty good, like kind of matching the sustain and then having just a lot more team fight presence for that big AoE ultimate that Seraphine brings. And curiously enough, both Senna and Seraphine are up. That is also a really good pairing that I feel like sometimes you need to split up. So really all eyes on Senna to see where she falls in this draft. Dragonsteel, not really a Senna team.
Yeah, that's what I was going to point out right there. There was week 4 interview where Scary Jerry even talked about it. He said they keep leaving Senna up because they know we can't really play it. We're not that good at it. That was the last time it was played, by the way, week 4, and that was a defeat. It's something that they've hovered around time and time again for Fear Starforge. Not going to go for that Senna pick just yet. They will grab the Ezreal and Nidalee, so XU going to be on some comfort.
Yeah, so Senna going to be dropped so far. I think Nidalee, a really big pick away from Yuji as well. Both of these junglers, some of our better Nidalee players that we have in the league. So the fact that XU gets his hands on that, and it will not be available for Yuji in the Best of 5, I feel like is nice.
But that Corki will be up and available. That's something we usually expect to get through. Take it off the draft. And remember, this is Fearless draft. So once a champion does see the Rift, it is not going to see it for the rest of the series. Get some pushing power in the bottom lane. Locking in for Scary Jerry, it's going to be a Ziggs.
Yeah, I do like to see Scary Jerry on the Ziggs. Actually, it was kind of fun. Scary Jerry, he recently announced he hit top 10 in solo queue. And he actually released like his notepad that he has for champs like Ezreal and Ziggs in particular, and how he's, trying to use some notes to just stay more disciplined on the Rift. Scary Jerry, someone that has really scaled up throughout the year with Maryville. I always saw him like winning lanes last year. Just he wasn't able to more like consistently carry that into wins on the Rift. This year, he's getting bigger leads in lane and is so much better at the later stages in terms of just playing safer and really maximizing his damage with a lot safer positioning. So excited to see the Ziggs, which he has put a lot of time on. His solo queue rank's been really high. Excited to see how that looks. And frankly, a decent game for it so far. Into Renekton, that's a champ Ziggs interacts pretty well with. That minefield always going to get value into Crocs. So I feel like at the moment, Dragonsteel, they're really able to hold strong with the Maokai and the Ziggs. They already have a lot of good defensive tools. It's just going to be about having some front line to try and stymie this Renekton and Nidalee and hopefully prevent them from snowballing this map through quickly.
I mean, this is pretty strong for the first phase of the draft for Fear Starforge because Nidalee and Renekton, they already work really well together over on that top side. The Renekton as well is a great pick for Philip. When I think Philip, 2 champions come to mind, Renekton and Gragas. So he's going to be very comfortable up there. As well as taking away the Yone, this is something that Dragonsteel have been playing a lot when they default Spyrax onto AD. So we are having bits and pieces of takeaways that are coming through. And now that front line you were talking about, going to be built with both the Cassante and a Rel, Cubby.
I like the Rel. Psycho's been really strong on Rel this split. Wouldn't be surprised here. I feel like we need some main engage. So yeah, gonna be Alistar. Alistar, of course, really nice interactions with Rel and a lot less ult reliant when it comes to the fights. So overall, I really feel like Fear Starforge, they have to get this game rolling. If they do get Renekton and Yone ahead, they're gonna be able to play out 3 lanes really nicely with that core of Nid, Ezreal, Alistar able to hold on pretty easily. Whereas Dragonsteel, some defensive tools, I feel like everyone has to come into Ziggs this game, which is going to feel really good for Scary Jerry. And with so many tools to hold the line between Cassante, Maokai, Rel, I actually really like how Dragonsteel rounded out this draft. And I'm always going to favor Maokai later on. There's a reason this champ is such high priority in LCK. Like, every point you put into his abilities feels good. That R is so oppressive. The sapling's so oppressive to, like, retake space from. So if Dragonsteel can really survive this early game onslaught and survive, you know, the 3-lane play that your Starforge is going to have, it's going to be really nice for them in the mid game. I really like Dragonsteel's comps. This game goes late.
I really do like it as well. The last two picks coming in that we talked about, the Rel and Cassante, it really does add to that front line to allow for what is going to be a lot of poke that you have to deal with in both the bouncing bombs as well as the missiles. It's a great first draft to see come through, but I still think that Fear Starforge is not something you should scoff at. There's a lot of comfort that's been picked up from this squad, and there's a lot of early pressure that you can really get. I'm definitely going to be looking towards the top side of the map if Fear Starforge are looking for leads to grab to take into the early to mid game.
Yeah, I mean, the early game, I'm focusing on First Starforge. The onus is on them to get this game moving. And it's interesting because before we got into the series, I was talking with XU. And him and Yuji, fun fact, actually came into Academy at the same time. It was 22 spring. We each saw them playing with their teams respectively for the first few years. Of course, XU picked up some LCX experience, finds himself back here. But he feels like he called Yuji a bit of a systems jungler. And he thinks that he can find those windows of opportunity against Yuji and really punish him. I respect XU's creativity a lot when it comes to him as a player. And on the Nidalee, the onus is going to be on him to make plays early.
He put on a very clinical display against FlyQuest, which very much impressed me because that's Shaden. That's a jungler that we hold into very, very high regards. So,
yeah, he smoked. Yeah. Shaden did not have a good series. XU played very, very well that day. So XU looking for revenge against our defending most valuable prospects. Someone that, you know, he also praised Yuji a bit, said, I really respect him as a player. It's wild to think we came in at the same time and we're still playing at a really high level today. So excited to see two of the stronger junglers that we have in our league go head to head.
And as we hit the rift right now, want to know who's got this one? Type Dragonsteel into the chat, DSTL, if you want them to win, or Fear Starforge FXS. So we do have a little bit of a swap situation going on, Kobe.
Okay. I like this swap for Dragonsteel. I feel like when you have Cassante and a Renekton, Cassante is slightly favored in the swap scenario. For me now, it's just all about which top laner gets more experience. So I'm really going to keep my eyes to see if we're able to zone Philip off these first 3 creeps, which it looks like that's going to be the case with Zamudo and Scary Jerry pushing him off the wave. Zamudo then will get to split the experience. It's being split as 3, not quite as good as... Oh, wait, Philip's going to get those. That's bad. Yeah, we got it. Yeah, push Philip off. There we go, Zamudo. That's worth the tower shot, quite frankly.
Yeah, deny Philip as much EXP and gold as possible. Get him away from this wave. And if you're doing this for Dragonsteel, it really does have big impacts for the way this early game is going to play out. Because remember, it's a Nidalee and Renekton that you were looking to play around for Fear Starforge.
Yeah, it looks like on the other side of the map, we are going to have Winsome base on the Alistar. So he's actually going to make his way up top. And without having vision, we're just going to have Zamudo TP bot, but he's going to pick up a lot of this wave. No one else is here. And with how low XU is, he's going to heal off this last camp a bit, but with no Alistar, I don't think this is diveable. Meanwhile, Winsome's not top lane in time. He's still a little bit late. Yeah. That sapling's going to slow him. Okay.
Slows him down a little bit, but the wave is not crashing in time, so it means you can't actually commit to this dive. A little bit of tension played out over on this top side. All the meanwhile, you still have Zamudo who's free farming those minions underneath the tower.
Yeah, it's still Zamudo that has the experience advantage. As you can see, he's still picking up that wave and already has a level up on Philip. Now, Zyko's the one that has sacrificed a lot of experience in this. Obviously, still sitting at 1. Winsome, though, as well to walk. I think overall this swap did favor Dragonsteel. The one thing, though, is that Philip does have a TP. So he's going to have to TP to lane against Zamudo. But again, he's down 2 levels. And when Cassante gets ahead in this matchup, that's where I think he really has a chance. If this matchup's played out in isolation, Renekton can delete waves once he gets level 5. He gets a lot of shove. I like him a lot into Cassante. I feel like he's really useful, and that's, you know, Cassante presses R later on. But if Cassante gets ahead, you can really force on Renekton. So a really big swap early on here for Dragonsteel. I think it's advantageous for them.
Yeah, a hard shove coming out from Dragonsteel in the early game over on this top side. Scary Jerry and Zyko could be looking for some recalls right now. Scary Jerry very happy with the way he shoved that wave. And immediately after, I mean, the wave has already crashed over into the bottom lane where Philip is. So as you called, swap and called out for Dragonsteel. Scary Jerry will go to the bottom lane. See, that ward is revealing where the pathing of XU is, so a lot of information going over to Dragonsteel.
Yeah, and I like this call again from Dragonsteel. Because they got both those side lanes in and swap, they're not going to miss much. So now, again, we're dictating the pace of the game. Zamudo just gets to catch a wave at his turret. There's no threat of dives coming in from Fierce Starforge. He's actually going to go stop the base of Instinct. That's really, really nice from Zamudo. Also pulls the wave, so it's frozen onto Philip. We'll have to burn that TP to get back into the top lane. So now, that TP advantage lost from Fierce Starforge in response. Just really solid play so far from Dragonsteel. Again, this is an early game where they're on the back foot, but by swapping the way they have, it's actually taken the onus of execution for themselves and have put Fierce Starforge on the back foot.
It's made it very hard for Fierce Starforge to actually find any execution, as the root does not trigger in time, so XU will be able to find that recall. All the meanwhile, we're finally going to get some normal lanes out coming in, as Philip Zamudo going to be in the top side. Our bot lane's going to be in the bot lane.
I will say, because of when Philip was able to base with the TP, he does have a longsword, so up a little bit in the inventory of Zamudo, but I don't think it's going to be enough to really force the Cassante off or out of this lane, so still, I really think this swap was favorable. Also getting Ziggs out of the first few levels, like Ezreal level 1's really strong with passive and Q, so 15 levels on Ziggs quite nice. It's Zamudo. He's got 6.
Yes. Zamudo has ultimate right now, so he can use the all-out. The thing is, XU is pathing up here. Spear's not going to land, and there's no more cooldowns for Philip to pressure, so Zamudo will be safe.
Top potion. He's got second wind, and that D-shield running. Again, Zamudo, he's okay. Zamudo really someone that's done a great job of holding the door in the top lane, all split. Really feels like he doesn't get a ton of resources on this team, but to be fair, that's where Zamudo has really thrived in the past, just leaning on his laning phase. But I think Zamudo has really rounded out his play this split and a lot better at other stages of the game, as we have a nice little Q steal from Yuji. XU miscalculated that one, and Yuji still has Smite up to steal another one. So, good opportunity to get 2 grubs here for Dragonsteel.
Yeah, you have Fierce Starforge still putting the pressure on, though, as you have some priority from Philip. But as you said, still level 5. Zamudo has that level 6. He's clearing out his wave. All the meanwhile, Yuji steps up, doesn't find much. Ultimate comes out, Blaze Olive, able to find the root right onto it and outplay ABO. Yuji, great job. One more grub gets taken. It's Fierce Starforge, who will take 2. Dragonsteel with 1.
Yeah, really well done from Yuji. Doesn't get a second one, but again, the fact you're taking 1 grub away from a Renekton team, you're going to take that with his top side. So I really like what Dragonsteel's done so far. Oftentimes, we talk about being on the back foot, playing defensive. That doesn't mean that you can't find windows. You just have to be a lot more particular, careful, and disciplined about the plays that you take, because you are going to be weaker if things do get messy. I feel like everything that Dragonsteel's done, it's felt like they're in control and dictating the pace of this game, even though they should be on the back foot during draft. And I really credit the swap with that and how they played it out. And I think this early game's going very well for Dragonsteel. Favor them as this game goes later on, too.
Taking a look at some of the pathing coming out, XU is currently clearing out his red buff. Spyrax, who has priority over in his lane right now. A lot of scrapping between him and ABO. Will be able to get out that deep ward. Not entirely sure if it was able to catch XU on his rotation over to the bottom quadrant. All the meanwhile, now skirmish comes out once again. We're going to see a lot more of those as time goes on.
Spyrax should be able to get a reset off to see if ABO decides to match. But still, quiet map. I really feel like favors Dragonsteel. That dragon was not taken. I do think that Fierce Starforge can play for it, especially with Spyrax being on the back foot, so wouldn't be surprised to see if XU starts it up now.
XU still hovering towards that bottom side of the camp. We'll start up that dragon that you were mentioning.
Yeah,
good time to do it.
Once you see Spyrax, it's pretty cool. Yeah.
But look at this. An engage coming out from Zamudo. Wants to get the 1v1 against Philip. He's going all out and all in. Philip pops the Dominus. He has no more cooldowns to work with, though. And on the solo bolo, we find first blood for Zamudo.
And that swap, it got Cassante the edge and played out really well by Zamudo. Has the Sheen, was able to buffer that Empower W from Renekton to not get stunned up and just easily cuts him down. As now we actually had Scary Jerry swap up. So I like this with Dragonsteel. They had this wave in. They already had Scary Jerry in base, so that proactive TP, he gets to play on this wave faster when Zamudo would have to reset. Instead, they have him catch bot, and Philip, he's down in ult. They can try and force him off this wave again, so continuously starving out this Renekton. Really well done here by Dragonsteel. So now Winsome's forced to walk up here. He's going to help out, but there's no way they can fight this. This might even be first brick on this wave for Scary Jerry and Dragonsteel.
Philip is not allowed a seat at the table. He cannot eat. Look at these tanks getting in the way. Here comes the ultimate. Philip taking a big chunk of damage as even the root will catch XU on the back end. Philip going over towards the wave. Now here comes ABO. He does have the fate sealed. Can get in for a big team fight. Ultimate is only able to find it onto one. Zyko with the slither of hell finally falls. Now ABO is trying to escape the grasp of Spyrex. Fear will be able to get one back. As Zyko falls in the process, Philip does as well.
Scary Jerry is really trying to take the turret here. There is some pressure as Spyrex is going to force out XU. I mean, that's so close to being in satchel charge range for Scary Jerry. That said, not going to fall quite yet. I still love the swap from Dragonsteel. Like the Ziggs pick is not something that they played a whole lot of. Scary Jerry only has one game of it in the split so far. Man, it really feels like this is practice for Dragonsteel, the way they've been moving this Ziggs around. I really love that TP swap they pulled off. Is now we get back. Keep in mind, Philip was pushed off of some of those waves in the top lane, so this XP differential has gotten even worse, which Zamudo just loves in this matchup. If he gets ahead, you can really force against Renekton.
It's a 2-level difference now, and he's gotten to the point where he can proxy behind it.
Yeah.
I mean, Zamudo's absolutely looking tremendous so far, and a lot of credit to him. He is one of the players that are currently in the runnings for that most improved. I think a lot of the discussion was, have we slept on this guy, or is he actually that improved? I think it's a little bit of both, Cubby.
I didn't vote for him because I feel like his, mark and pass splits was higher. I don't want to take away from what he's been able to do this split. I just don't think he improved as much as some other people in our league. I actually voted for music. In hindsight, I kind of wish I voted for Rovex. I feel like Rovex, since the last time we saw him, is actually quite good. And going back through the tape of some regular season, I think I kind of slept on Rovex a little bit, who has been fantastic in playoffs. But still, I think that Zamudo, again, like, he always had this identity as a strong laner. But to see him really emerge as a strong player and kind of round out some of that map play outside of just the top lane, how he plays sides, has been really good to see.
Now ABO looking for the engage onto Yuji. Fate sealed, looking for an escape route, will be able to find that underneath the tier 2 tower, but this means Scary Jerry gets more time with this tower. Will be able to pop it at 11 minutes.
That's a quick first brick. I think that they're going to swap Zamudo and Scary Jerry again and hunt for that bot turret. The second grub spawn too, the fact that Dragonsteel did pick up all 3 of those does mean that they have the little grublins spawning for them for the rest of the game, which will help out and could really help Ziggs take this bot lane turret as we see Scary Jerry make his way down there right now.
See that Frozen Fist completed by Zamudo. Keeping that conversation on him a little bit longer, I did talk about some of the improvements that he had. I had a discussion with Niles. He was talking about how it was taking Zamudo's good laning and transferring that into enabling both Yuji and Spyrex. Yeah. It's about having TPs that are much more impactful in the mid game. These are all areas where he has improved, and it's been great to watch that development coming through, especially through the Maryville system.
And it makes so much sense too, because like if you ask me to boil down what Niles was good at this past split, it's just that, like finding those top lane timers that no one else is really going for. As we're going to see attempt number 3 on ABO. He doesn't have ult this time. I think he's going down.
No, you're not getting away. Dragonstar finally able to sink their fangs into ABO. It's Scary Jerry, who's getting even more gold, Cubby.
Going to be A-OK there for Dragonsteel as they're grouped up here as 4. Really trying to drive home the last couple waves of plates being up. We'll have one wave after this where they can force, but that won't be a cannon wave. And with all 4 members down here and the little baby grub spawning too, really doing their best to take as much HP off this turret as possible, and probably HP off Instinct as well. And again, I mean, this was a comp, like, setting this up. We felt like Fear Star Force, the early game onus was on them. What happens? Dragonsteel swaps, they never look back, and they've just been the ones dominating this map.
They came into this game with a very, very clear game plan, and the execution has been absolutely immaculate so far. Philip will still be able to grab a tower over onto that top side. Dragon has now been pulled by Dragonsteel. When some XU in the area, so I have Spyrex who's holding down the Tribush.
This does pull them off turrets, as Philip's going to commit his TP, but I like this for Dragonsteel.
Here we go, Winsome getting caught out. The all-out pulls Winsome across the terrain, and now Winsome dragged in by Zyko. The bomb goes down, and ABO can do nothing but watch in horror as Scary Jerry puts on a clinic.
I think that's GG's game 1. I don't know how he bounced back from that.
No,
I mean,
don't.
again, Fear Starforge, this comp for me, they need to make plays early. I don't think things do get better later on, but that attempt, it's so forced. Like, Phillips TPing in with, 2 levels down. He didn't spend from knocking down that top lane turret, so it's not like he has a huge advantage. Good flash here from Spyrax, but that takes instinct, though, and then the front line at the other side of the fight just gets owned by Zamudo and Zyko.
Yeah.
Do a great job of locking up the Yone. ABO can't do anything. No chance that Renekton this far behind can do anything against Cassante as Zamudo rips him down. Instinct was out of the fight early because of the duel with Spyrax. Just too easy for Dragonsteel in this first game.
And the stars that you want to shine are shining bright right now. Zamudo did oh so well in the lane swap scenario and getting this lead against Philip, but I know the bigger picture you want to talk about these plates right now, as plates are currently down. It was Scary Jerry who's cashing in on a lot of these. You can see how much Dragonsteel have collected as a whole.
Yeah, I mean, like, all the plates that Philip took, it was pretty much him just being in his lane alone, and look, he's still behind on Cassante, even despite getting a solo 5-plate turret top. Like, that's just really where the game's at. So I mean, props to Dragonsteel. They've been our dominant team all year. And,
yeah.
I mean, against good competition, some of the best competition we can give them in Fear Starforge, it really feels like this swap, they had it down from minute 1. And I really appreciate that from an NACL team. Just some of the logic of the swap. Again, I really favor top lane XP. I think with a lot of swaps, whichever top laner walks out with more experience, oftentimes that's the team that's going to be favorable moving on. And we're really seeing that with Zamudo in this matchup against Philip, because you just go back to lane, you get to dominate in the solo long lane. It's really punishing.
You can't even exist in the side lanes. ABO is under pressure when he walks up to farm. That's how crippling this game state has become.
Yeah, it's been really, really nice to see this from Dragonsteel, as hell of a game 1 from them. And I don't really see the defense from Fear Starforge. I mean, you got to believe that it's going to be like Exio and Instinct maybe connecting with some poke, but at the moment, both the Yone and the Renekton lose to Zamudo in the side lane. And that's not going to get better anytime soon, as we're quite far behind as both of those solo laners, and as a team, Fear Starforge continues to fall further behind.
This gold growing oh so fast, talking about the rise of gold. Let's talk about the meteoric rise of Maryville as a program. In summer 23 is when they got in. It was 0-4 that playoff. Scary Jerry and Zyko were part of the team back then, so they felt that situation. Every split afterwards has only been upwards. Spring 24, they make finals. Yuji wins MVP. Scary Jerry gets most improved. Now we have the perfect season. They're 1 win away from making esports history. Currently botting ABO, all part of the process. It has been tremendous for Dragonsteel, but here we go. Zamudo will be able to grab that kill, will not slip up against ABO. Winsome finds the escape, but man, it is a death hold from Dragonsteel.
Yeah, Philip doing his best to take stuff on the bot side, but it's be Dragonsteel taking an inner. So, again, just really trying to sack most stuff to get Philip some resources in the side. I mean, there's really not much you can do as Fear Starforge. Nidalee can't really blow anyone up. We have been outpaced in this game, and really all thanks to swaps. I'm really interested to see how Fear Starforge respond to this. And for me, this is like some of the logic as to why, like TL pretty much only pick wave clear mid in the LCS. So I really like you highlighted how the Yone is a takeaway from Spyrax. I really think that you can shove hard into Yone in that mid game when plates are about to fall, and I think that we did see Dragonsteel really focus the Yone lane a couple times before plates fell, try and knock them out, and if your wave clear just cannot match, if you get Yone out, you have a high wave clear mid laner, a really good way to pressure whatever lane you put Spyrax in. Again, I just feel like the game plan for Dragonsteel is game 1. I'm really impressed.
Thoroughly impressed with they've been able to show all playoffs, really, because even if you look back towards that Supernova game, that was domination.
Yep.
I mean, just in the first game of playoffs, you have Scary Jerry with the perfect KDA 25, Yuji with the 25 KDA. One of those games was over in 22 minutes. That's how fast Dragons still work and how ruthless they can be when they get leads.
Yeah, and even think, like, their opponents, the Supernova squad, right? They blasted Blue Water in games 2 and 3 of their best of 3 in the early game, like with 5k gold leads at the 15-minute mark. And then you have Dragonsteel doing the same to Supernova afterwards. I really feel like that speaks to the gap that our team that has yet to drop a series this summer has brought to the league. And a league that, I mean, I feel like really improved this year, just pound for pound. I feel like we have some stronger players, stronger rosters. This Fierce Starforge roster being a big part of that, as 4 out of 5 of these guys were not competing last split in NACL. You know, they're a top 3 team that we have in the league by a wide margin, I think. Like, for Dragonsteel to level up with that, like losing Niles, who was really a voice for them in-game, now being the voice for them outside of the game, and performing, I mean, even more dominant, really speaks to what this team's been able to do.
I've heard a lot of what Niles has done behind the scenes to still put in that effort and work.
OTP.
Now, Dragonsteel fighting over by the river. Fierce Starforge. Looks like they like their odds, but ooh, Fate Sealed misses. And just like that, Scary Jerry sends him a goodbye gift. It's a damn bomb. Winsome gets pulled right back in. Philip looks for a counter engage, but the Gator, his life is forfeit. Zamudo will claim as Dragonsteel take 2 unanswered kills.
Yeah, we just keep on getting closer and closer to that result that we know is coming. Scary Jerry, nice predict there on the Yone going back to, you know, base of the E. We're going to see if XU can land a steal here as we're getting a little bit desperate on Fierce Starforge. Can't really blame them.
See, the entire crew is going to show up and just stomp a mud hole into this poor Nidalee, and that's going to be Dragon going over to Dragonsteel. Again, this game doesn't feel like there's many more avenues for Fierce Starforge to find a way in.
No, I mean, I think the response now is what happens if Fierce Starforge face another swap? Can they play it better? So I'd say swaps have been a little bit less common in NACL, but the fact that Dragonsteel pulling out a really solid swap in game 1's been good. And again, I mean, I think this is a reach from Fierce Starforge. The idea is that Spyrax was spotted on top wave and doesn't have empowered TP. So at least they get a 5v4, but good retreat from Dragonsteel. Again, they have a lot of defensive tools with that Ziggs, with that Maokai to be able to hold the line. They still offer Spyrax to get there, and they don't even need Spyrax to win that fight in the 4v5. That's just how far ahead Dragonsteel are.
No, there was a dream left in that engage. ABO was so close to catching out some of those members with that Fate Sealed. Scary Jerry, one simple satchel, he gets himself away and delivers a good parting gift for ABO. Shows you how every game plan that Fierce Starforge have done in this game number 1 has just fallen to pieces. It's a 6.5k lead. Now Dragonsteel are starting to dance around Baron.
Yeah, and again, like, this bot lane for Dragonsteel, a part of that 9th place roster, or 8th place roster we had in NACL Summer last year. Now,
23,
yeah, I mean, they are the top dogs. Like, I really feel like the way that this team has grown, and to see them, you know, playing the game where it doesn't feel like this was won by any single member. It was just won by how they played the map as a squad. It is a real treat to watch, because it didn't really feel that way last year for Maryville when they were playing in Summer. Oftentimes, it did feel like solo plays were needed to get ahead, and then they needed to have leads big enough to be able to fight and take it home. This team does love to fight, but seeing them take their fights on really disciplined timers when things were good for them in this game, it really speaks to the growth that we've seen from Dragonsteel in the past year, and again, why they are the top team we have in the league right now.
Currently on a road to redemption as well. I know one of the things that was deeply on their mind, especially after spring, was that 0-3 loss that they had to FlyQuest. I talked to Zyko about it before, and he said he feels more motivated, more confident than ever to go ahead and proceed in the NACL with Dragonsteel for their chances to actually take a finals. It definitely does show.
C-Law finals as well, dropping that. I talked to Scary Jerry before this game, and he specifically mentioned that, like, hey, we've been grinding hard, going 100% since January, and that reignited our passion. It's a good engage from ABO.
Ooh, tries to find it on the back line, but gets pulled right back in. Doesn't even get Scary Jerry, but Philip's able to find it on the back end. Now XU has to go golden. Too much damage is coming in. Philip has a lot of health to work with, but there's 3 members of Dragonsteel, and they've readied their blades to slay the Reaper. Instinct, the only survivor, as Dragonsteel will claim him as well. Triple kill to Zamudo.
I mean, honestly, a pretty good start to that fight from Fierce Starforge. I did like the engage from Winsome and the follow-up from ABO. They were able to take the Ziggs out of the fight early on, but I really feel like that's the lead coming to fruition this game for Dragonsteel, as the best look that Fierce Starforge can find, still not close to being good enough.
Not at all. You can even see right on the back line, you caught out Scary Jerry. This is one of the big priority targets. It didn't mean anything for the total outcome of the fight.
Yeah, I mean, like, a really nice angle from Pure Starforge. I think the WQ flash from Winston was great. The follow-up from ABO was there. Actually even snuck in a spear on the Ziggs. But again, that lead, and just fighting in this choke, Pure Starforge couldn't walk through it. Philip just not tanky enough to really find the space, and Pure Starforge not big enough to deal with the damage that is in the pocketbooks of Dragonsteel, as they got stuck in the choke for the rest of the fight and weren't able to push past it. So, yeah, good try. I mean, honestly, I really feel like this game's out of reach, so that's one of the better looks you can find is Pure Starforge. I do respect that one, but I feel like this game is kind of know the conclusion for a while.
Look at those pocketbooks. Those are some stacked wallets. I'm 5'11". If I'm standing on their wallets, I'm actually 6'11". At that point, they have made a incredible amount of gold in a short amount of time. Really been making light work with Pure Starforge as they start setting up around the Baron now. It feels like the closing moments are coming in as Dragonsteel, they just want that big purple worm so they can start sieging down structures.
Zamudo's, I mean, are we really stuck with Zamudo, or are we, Zamudo have you stuck with him?
Wow, Zamudo pulls Philip into the deep end. He goes godlike over the wall with the flash. Zyko claims XU, who will go gold, and it's only a trophy for Dragonsteel to claim.
ABO going to continue to split push bot and still get an objective bounty on the inner. Oh, no. All right, never mind. Zamudo going to TP in. I will say we could have a 3v4 if Pure Starforge won it. Looks like they're just going to take the Dragon as Dragonsteel secure the Baron. Another really clean setup from them as Zamudo just, I mean, he has been so big this game on this Cassante. It's been really impressive. I know that he had a lead coming out of the lane swap, but how he's been able to really push that lead throughout the game, and great to watch, and he's not done yet.
He's willing to take on these fights regardless of how many members you're bringing, man. And he catches out ABO. You can't even seal your own fate. Zamudo will claim yours. Hey, you got to return back eventually. The Yo-Yo finds Scary Jerry, who cleans him up for another kill.
More great plays from Zamudo. Stepped into that Fate Seal to make sure the Yone could not go over the wall and instead hits the gray screen as Dragonsteel. They might be able to finish on this push.
The Saints aren't marching, they're stomping right now, and mud holes are being delivered all across Pure Starforge. Right now, looking for the close as the siege begins. Now comes the ultimate from Yuji. Nexus Tower number 1 under attack. He taking a big amount of damage is XU, who has to jump away. Another Rocky comes through. Spyrax tries to flash on him, will not be able to kill, but Philip is fed to the wolves. Falls Spyrax, looking for an escape, turns it on to Winsome. Spear comes in, it will not land. Both Nexus Towers are down, and so are Pure Starforge for game number 1. Dragonsteel will take it.
I mean, message sent from our top dogs to Pure Starforge as they had a great swap. Never really looked back. They got more XP on Zamudo, and Zamudo really drove that lead home throughout the game. I do feel like he was our player of the game in that first one. I don't know what your thoughts were on that one. Okay, yeah, gonna give it to Zamudo.
Absolutely.
He did some pretty good work on that Cassante. Got a lead. Again, I really think that in the Cassante Renekton games, the swaps are favorable for Cassante. I really like the swap there for Dragonsteel. I feel like it showed a good understanding of their comp, and also once Cassante gets that lead, he really is able to pressure the Renekton in that matchup, and we saw Philip not be able to do a thing.
It showed a great understanding of where your power points were, and not only that, but how to actually utilize them. I mean, it was a 2-level lead for most of the game against Philip, with Zamudo getting solo kills at a certain point. He really did press that gas pedal, broke right through the bottom of the car, and he's going to be our player of the game, Cubby. I mean, don't really say much more. This is the reason why he's viewed as one of our most improved players.
I mean, I gotta say too, like Philip, this is his croc. I don't think it lost a game until Pure Starforge were almost like knocked out of playoffs last summer. Like Philip is a good croc player, and Zamudo again got the advantage and just drove him into the ground. So really, really nice game 1. We did see quite a few champs. I think there was a little bit of a game of like cat and mouse and denial, like XU and ABO taking away the Nidalee and the Yone. Those were 2 pretty big champs for Dragonsteel. So I am curious what kind of approach we're going to see in game 2 from each of our teams as those 10 champs are off the board. And I will say it did feel like there definitely was some intentional picks from Pure Starforge to deny some certain champions from Dragonsteel for the rest of the series. So let's see how deep these pools go as we get into this best of 5.
As we know, it is fearless, so those champions won't be on the Rift for the next game. We're going to throw it over to short break. When we return, we'll get ready for game number 2, Dragonsteel versus Fear Starforge.
Hey, did you know that kid is vaping the same toxic chemical that's used in taxidermy? Formaldehyde?
Formaldehyde.
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 Dermaldehyde.
Formaldehyde.
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 Formaldehyde. Formaldehyde.
Here's a fact that'll stop you in your tracks. Teens who vape can be exposed to toxic chemicals like formaldehyde. Know the real cost.
And now, announcing the frontrunners for the Summer 2024 NACL Most Improved Player. Up first in alphabetical order, music.
Catch some of this poke, but not quite as tanky as you'd expect as the ECA goes wide.
Oh, everything's going wide. Blue Otter just need to turn around, but the culling going straight into Samikin's Spyrex, able to get a decent amount of damage there. Pyroclasm back onto the back line now, though, and they're starting to do some serious damage. Psycho, he's going to give his life. Spyrex on the side is going down too, and the burn is enough. Music with a massive play for Blue Otter.
Next up in the mid lane, Toasty.
That Rec Room's doing a lot of damage. It's now Toasty able to dodge out on the culling damage. Winter just threw a lot at the wall, and none of it stuck. Supernova position better in the fight. They kite back, absorb the cooldowns, and they are just sweeping this fight. Triple kill, quadra kill to Toasty.
And last but not least, Zamudo.
Spyrex is trying to catch out Samikin. Quacker has the flank of a lifetime, and here comes Samikin. Stranglethorn gonna separate the fight. Blue Otter starting to lose some bodies, and Dragonsteel starting to stack them up, but no, Zamudo, is he gonna have enough? Scary Jerry's there doing some work, as now Levitate's forced to run away. Zamudo steps up big, and he's looking to feed that big croc of his.
Once again, these are your frontrunners for the Summer 2024 NACL Most Improved Player. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel and following at Watch NACL so that you don't miss the official announcement.
Hey, did you know that kid is vaping the same toxic chemical that's used in taxidermy? Formaldehyde?
Formaldehyde.
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 Dermaldehyde.
Formaldehyde.
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 Formaldehyde. Formaldehyde.
Here's a fact that'll stop you in your tracks. Teens who vape can be exposed to toxic chemicals like formaldehyde. Know the real cost. Welcome back, everyone, to the NACL presented by The Real Cost. And what a Game 1 domination. Dragonsteel, no mercy whatsoever, starting off with the lane swap to stop the power points of Fear Starforge, and from there it was all downhill for Fear.
Yeah, I really feel like we saw some of the power of swapping from Dragonsteel that game. We got Cassante out of the early levels of the Renekton matchup, where you really just get shoved in, you can't really control the wave. We were able to kind of lean on the increased wave clear that we have on the side of Dragonsteel to push turrets in that mid game. I really like the fact they attacked the Yone lane when things got a little bit awkward. And man, this was a game that Fear Starforge just never got in, and Dragonsteel continue to look like the top team that we have in Challengers League as they take their first steps towards making it to the Riot Games Arena for finals through the upper bracket, and of course representing NACL at the Tier 2 Americas tournament coming up.
And just look at the stats. I don't really got to talk much about this because there wasn't much to talk about. After the lane swap, it was a clinic. Look at the gold. It just kept going and going and going, and there was never a moment where it felt like Fear Starforge were going to find their comeback. So overall, great display coming out of Dragonsteel. That's going to do it for our post-game breakdown presented by The Real Cost. Now, with that, I do want to take a moment to talk a little bit about both Fear and Maryville, more about their social teams than anything else, because since we have a little bit of time before we actually get into the draft, I commend a lot of what they've been doing. You know, I talk about Maddie quite a bit, who does a lot of the socials and background stuff for Fear, but Shipley, of course, deserves a shout out as well. I really think it's important when it comes to like player branding and stuff for, you know, fans to have a place to actually go look at your team and see what they're up to, see the type of stuff they're doing. There's a lot of content that both of these programs, both of these organizations are putting out there, whether it comes to like comms videos and stuff. So as my little soapbox moment, go ahead, go to Maryville GG, go to Cincy Fear, follow those brands and support our teams, man, because they're putting out a lot of good content out there.
Yeah, they are. Also, you know, it's a lot easier to do that when you have everyone in the same place at the same time. I feel like Cincy Fear has been taking advantage of their boot camp and really showing what's going on there as they work to do their best in NACL. And Dragonsteel, of course, they've had those lads in the same arena for the entire year. I feel like that's a huge advantage that you get time like working with a team in person. I've coached remote. I've coached teams in person. I always had more success when, you know, I was able to get everyone in the same room. There are things that you just cannot replicate. And like being remote is almost depressing compared to that. So yeah, it's been really fun to see like everyone take advantage of just being present. And I really feel like, especially in Dragonsteel's camp, it has really helped enable them to grow faster this year.
It's a lot of fun because I was watching their off-day vlog for Fear Starforge. They're eating barbecue, they're going to the arcade, they're bowling, TikTok dances, they even got to the local news station. Stuff like that's a lot of fun to see, especially coming down into a big match, big playoffs as well. But let's start focusing up on what we have in front of us right now as the Game 2 draft now underway. You can already see Fearless bands on the top right in the center of your screen as we get into the next couple of bands coming in. Interesting band to see. Nasus taken away from Fear Starforge.
It was taken away Game 1 by Dragonsteel, so each blue side team actually taking it away. And curious to see if Senna slips all the way through draft again. I was really surprised about that in Game 1, quite frankly. So I'm interested if Dragonsteel decides to leave it up again, as they did take Aurora off the table. And again, we always talk about these OPs because in this format, if you do get to a Game 4, if you do get to a Game 5, and those champions have not been played, you will see them. As we've had Senna in both of the Game 5s we've had so far in this Fearless format. So, and the only other one was actually let through in Game 1, so they didn't have to deal with that ban for the rest of the time, which is a legit strategy in itself as well.
I mean, I think it's a perfectly fine B1 for Fear Starforge. Again, this is not something I'm expecting Dragonsteel to play. I actually have the direct quote that I heard from Scary Jerry. He said, these teams aren't banning it being Senna, for a reason. It's just not the most comfortable thing for Scary Jerry, so it's an easy ball in your court to take.
That said, I mean, it might be on Zyko with the Senna changes this time around. Like,
That's very true,
it kind of just depends on the pairing, so maybe that goes better. Also, I don't think the Senna was a Scary Jerry issue. It was just kind of a Dragonsteel issue. It didn't support how fast they like to play. But as we dive into this one, we do have that Rumble being first pick. I will say it's a decent champ for Philip, but it's much better in the hands of Zamudo, so I think that is a really nice deny. As that's only going to be Philip's second Rumble. that he's played all split, whereas for Zamudo, it is tied for his most played, and he's yet to drop a game on it. So I really feel like paying that respect to Zamudo's Rumble is very much warranted. We've seen most teams do that against Dragonsteel.
It's an interesting angle that's coming out from Dragonsteel for the first part of this draft. Red-sided, they're looking to take that Ashe on the R1, immediately followed up with an Ivern. So we're going to have a lot of control of the jungle. That's what kind of comes out to me. Just because a lot of that hawkshot, you get to scout out where the enemy jungler is going to be going, as well as the passive of Ivern to kind of sneak away some of these camps.
And this is Yuji's first Ivern of the split, and honestly something that I'm not used to seeing from Yuji. Like, we think of this guy just being that mechanical monster. So to see him adapt, I gotta say, like Kenvi, we saw him add an Ivern to the arsenal this split. It's been really good to see. Excited to see if Yuji can do the same, and I like the fact you're bringing up that defense early showing for Dragonsteel is they're gonna add on to the defense. They get Braum in a matchup that I really like for Braum. You have really good interactions with MF between the Unbreakable, being able to stop bullet time. Also, if that's channeled early, it's Pop Braumar that always gets to MF with the knockup. So Ashe Braum, a lot of slows, a lot of kite here for Dragonsteel. And for Fierce Starforge, they're going to have to find more ways to break this.
I'm very, very curious about that Ivern pick. I wonder if it's been like heavily practiced, because there's certain things that are very, very specific to Ivern. One of the names that comes up is Shaden, who didn't quite have that mastery of manipulating Daisy around the map, and it really shows. It takes away a lot of that power from the Ivern. So I'm wondering how practiced Yuji is on it right now.
Yeah, me too. And curious to see what kind of pairing he gets from Spyrax. I gotta say, I like Lucian right now. I think Spyrax A is a good Lucian. But also has really good synergy with Braum and Ivern, so that could be a pick we end up seeing. Also, I like the bans we've seen so far from Dragonsteel. Like, taking away Orianna when you're playing a comp like this, that Shockwave can really break you, and Ashe kind of can struggle with like the zoning tools that Ori brings to a fight, and Braum really struggles in the Ori too, so I think that's a good ban, while we see Fierce Starforge take away two of those mid lane pairings that can be paired up with Ivern. I like this, though, from Dragonsteel, because I don't think, like, if you're going to plan this patch for a long time, you can't deny the strength of Ivern. Ivern brings a lot of power to the Rift, but, hey, one thing that he lacks, and one thing that Dragonsteel really lacks outside of Ashe Arrow, it was a hard engage tool. So Zamudo is going to select that Ornn, more pressure on the bullet time. If you get had later on against Rumble, you don't look back. You need to scale into this matchup, but Ornn can kind of gracefully lose and just still be really useful later on. So I like the pick from Zamudo.
And it comes at a great time, too. You already have the Braum, which means one of the hard counters to the Call of Forge God, where you can just put up that Unbreakable and stop it from going through. It's on your side of the map. Yeah. So great engage coming out from Dragonsteel so far. Fear are looking for the retaliation, however. They are going to lock in the Sejuani, which brings more team fight, more crowd control, more dependence on their ultimates to really get these 5v5s going, as well as Zeri locked in.
And now we're just going to have to see what Spyrax ends up going mid. Zeri, we haven't seen Spyrax really prioritize it. I felt like it was going to be Lucian. I really like the comp that Dragonsteel has yet again. Lucian, for me, he has mobility, which is important in this game, but also the synergy with the Ivern and the Braum will be really, really good for Lucian. And we have main engage with the Ornn. A lot of pressure on bullet time. That said, Dragonsteel, I feel like this comp needs a little bit of time. They need to get some items on the Ivern to really be able to absorb some of these big teamfight damage ultimates that Fierce Starforge is going to be packing before they can really try and turn it back. So I think we're in another situation where Dragonsteel is on the back foot early on. And I'm curious if they lane swap this time, because I could argue that the Ashe Braum lane does win into MF Leona, but that's not always level 1. Wait, hold on. Level 1 is really good for Ashe Braum, but if MF and Leo get push, things can get better for them, like over time. It's just on the bounce that's really dangerous. The Ornn matchup, though, against Rumble, that sucks for the first few levels. And we saw how successful the swap was for Dragonsteel in Game 1. So just interested to see if we see it again, because I feel like their swap is so much better than the Fierce Starforge in that first game.
I feel like it puts a lot of emphasis into the way the early game plays out once again, because if Fierce Starforge are able to get to the mid game, get to the late game rather even, I think it bodes well for them. They have a great 5v5, and you have players like Instinct who have shined best when they're put into those team fight positions to find the positioning for a good bullet time. There are some good tools for Fierce Starforge, but they need to get later on into the game for that to come to actuation.
We do have Demolish from both of our supports. That does mean, so you can actually proc Lucian passive on Fauna Life, so Zyko won't have access to that. Also, Zyko not going approach velocity. A bit of a bummer. I do have to put on, my I hit GM maining Braum hat, being a good Braum player. I think approach velocity is like so abusable with Braum and his Qs, not to mention Ash those as well from your team. So, yeah, I think that's actually... we fly all the runes. Sometimes I don't really nitpick them often, but missing approach velocity and Braum for me is a missed opportunity.
All right. I gotta ask, was Braum your favorite to play or just favorite overall? Like,
he was the
always
best
that feeling, man.
Because I was bad at the game, but if I played Braum, I was useful.
When I was playing support, Alistair was my main go. Oh, I kind of feel you a little bit. I just love being big, beefy, and being able to engage for my team.
Yeah. I mean, I got spanked by Core JJ playing Braum. Not everyone can say that. So
I got spanked by ManCloud. So
that's
at least got
okay.
that.
That's old school, man. I respect
very,
it.
very old days.
All right.
Look at this invade coming in now from Dragonsteel, as they do set up that swap once again, getting some information on where enemy jungler is going to be, where they're going to find XU. Getting that deep ward set. But yeah, lane swaps to start off, Gubby.
Yeah, and this time around, we do have Winsome playing with XU. And you are going to have Philip not go for the soak in the top lane. Instead, he's just going to walk down, which means that you don't have an option as Zamudo to TP to this wave and get as much XP as we saw the Cassante do last time. Keep in mind, Philip was in this scenario, then we had 3 people bot. Zamudo TP'd into the turret here and soaked a bunch of XP. This time, each top laner is just going to shove with their marksmen, so they're each getting access to XP. So I think this is going to be a much more even swap off the bat. The next mechanic I want to see each of these teams do is actually catch the wave before the turret. The turret scales in resistances with how many people you have around it. So if you catch the wave high or in front of the turret, then your minions actually do more damage. So I would actually love to see Fierce Starforge like walk up and kill the wave. I think by not doing it, they're actually missing out on quite a bit of damage.
Still lane swaps going both ways, which means that plates are going to be cashed in for both of these squads right now.
Yeah, each of our teams, I think, could have done that phase a little bit better. Again, walking ahead of the turret, get best resistances. But that said, bot lane turret, that one is able to get through faster, doesn't have those base resistances that the other turrets have to kind of prevent lane swaps, or at least have lane swaps be at a disadvantage. So Fierce Starforge will walk out with 3 plates ahead on the play. And in return, they're going to get Philip's TP. And hope that Zamudo can kind of hold on to the top side. I will say, losing Rumble TP early on for the Ornn, if Ornn has TP advantage, this is really nice for the lane, where, again, all Ornn has to do is just really hold on and soak XP, and then he'll outscale later on. So I still feel like the swap, even though Dragonsteel are further behind this time around, it does have some innate advantages, because I think the early lane phase for each lane in the side lane, they kind of need some levels for it to get to be a little bit better.
It does bode a little bit more well for Philip in particular, who in game 1, when we had this lane swap scenario, he was just isolated from the wave for quite some time. And it does seem like Dragonsteel are going to focus around here, but Yuji did pop out from that fog of war for just a second. XU starting up the Scuttle Crab chasing away Yuji.
He does get double crab, so that's nice from XU. As you can see, Yuji was trying to prep that one, but XU able to get here on time to take it. So yeah, this early game much better for Fierce Starforge. It really felt like at this point of the game, in game 1, there was already a big advantage for Dragonsteel. It was on the shoulders of Zamudo. So now to have this be much more even is good, as we see XU potentially hanging around. He does know that Ivern's in the area. I don't think they're going to pull the trigger, though, on a dive. As he was just making sure the Rumble's safe. Okay, hold on. We might change our mind. I mean, if they get this dive off, it's a lot missed for Zamudo. He does have TP, but could be big.
All right, so going for the dive right now, Zamudo has to play this carefully, able to find the knockup, flashes away, but does not get away from the flamethrower Philip. That's first blood for Fierce Starforge.
Well played, and a much better start for Fierce Starforge in this one. Really like the opportunity that XU finds there. They're going to get the TP off Zamudo. Okay, never mind. We're actually just going to have another swap, so Zamudo's going to walk bot. This top wave will be pushing away from Scary Jerry, as the turret's going to get most of it. Rather interesting. I thought we'd just see Zamudo TP back, but now the swap initiated yet again from Dragonsteel.
And a lot of their game plans, especially coming into playoffs for this series in particular, seems to be around these swaps.
Yeah.
Right now, it's a hard shove coming over in the top lane. As you said, Zamudo now in the bot lane. Leaves Winsome and XU a little bit of time to roam together and try and meet up with what's going to happen over on that top side. All the meanwhile, taking this look at the state of what's going on in the mid lane, CS is relatively even.
Yeah,
Both.
each mid laner is going to base and TP back as grubs do spawn here in a couple seconds. And that is the one perk for Dragonsteel in this scenario, is the fact that they do have their bot lane in range of grubs if they want to access it. So
Yeah.
we do actually see MF is going to base and walk mid, and ABO is going to walk bot. So what ABO is doing is honestly something I've seen TL do a lot of, and that's the formation that we have for your Starforge in right now, which is your bot lane is mid, and your mid laner is going bot, as ABO kind of hovering between the lane or two. Again, he has TP if he does want to have access to the Scrubs fight.
Yeah.
Can also go bot and catch those waves, as the wave looks like it's kind of being frozen by Zamudo, quite frankly. It will mean that there's a numbers advantage here for Fierce Starforge.
And this state of the game is always a good time to take a look at the ultimates, especially on the first spawning of grubs. You don't have the main ones that you want for Fierce Starforge to find that big wombo combo, but still, Blaze Olive sitting pretty with the way the lanes have been set up. It does mean that Fierce Starforge can get presence there, because it's the same thing for Dragonsteel. You only have a Calling, you only have a Lucian, you only have a Zeri, only big ultimates. We're not taking the 5v5 over that.
Shout out to our observers for hovering bot. It was indeed a freeze for Zamudo, so a couple waves just lost for Fierce Starforge. And when Philip gets back in that lane, he's actually going to be behind of the Ornn. I think that that's like okay for Dragonsteel. I mean, the fact they went 2 for 1 with grubs and they had Zamudo pick up like 2-3 waves for free. Again, if Ornn gets ahead in this matchup, it's pretty hard for Rumble to get him out after a certain break point. So I think Dragonsteel are okay with that trade. I want to see if Yuji can get out.
Ooh, nice flash from Yuji. Gets him away from the Zenith Blade, and this will give him enough room to get away from the rest of Fierce Starforge to go aggressive on that invade.
Winsome not able to find his old teammate from the FlyQuest days. See if he's able to pick that up later on. Of course, a little bit of a friendly rivalry or revenge game, we'd like to say, in the NFL when you're going up against the old teammates or old teams. FlyQuest not involved in this one, but Winsome, Eugene Spyrex all on that squad last year at this time. Yeah, I mean, bot lane, Zamudo, he just picks up a Negatron cloak, so he's feeling pretty okay in a Philip here. And Philip, you got the Spidey senses tingling that Yuji could be in the vicinity.
Take a look at the CS 13 lead so far from Zamudo. I mean, the wave is going over to Philip, so he'll be able to heal some of that loss. All the meanwhile, you do have Yuji who's coming in for these invades, stealing away camps, that Raptor spawn. Now taken from XU. XU's attention, however, is going to be on this top side.
Oh, is spotted. Dragonsteel are aware. They have Zamudo's TP to respond. Let's see if Zamudo backs off from the bot lane, just in case there's a dive.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, you can see on the minimap there. So if there is a dive, Zamudo can TP, and I think that's enough for Fierce Starforge to call it off. That, and of course, level 6 on Ashe. Does make it, yeah, a little bit more difficult to get in there. As again, bot lane though, like this is big for me. You can see like Zamudo has a pretty good XP lead over Philip, and again, the fact that like, he froze the wave while grubs were being hit by Fierce Starforge is only a 2-1 split. I really favor that call from Dragonsteel. I think that like, getting Zamudo back into this game a little bit after he was dove top and holding his TP. Ended up being okay, and being up XP is always going to feel good on Ornn. So I do think that was actually a really significant call and a good one from Dragonsteel. As their game, really good if they're able to scale with the Ivern and the Ornn. By slowing things down, I feel like that does really favor them.
I really am happy with the way Zamudo's been playing this as a whole so far.
Yeah.
I mean, like, especially going into Philip, who, for me, a lot of the play I've been seeing from Philip, I like his ability to absorb pressure. I do think he's found some improvements across this season, being able to do that and improving some of his laning. And for Zamudo to just understand the intricacies of what can break Philip, it's been pretty tremendous to watch so far. I mean, Zamudo, again, was that player that we were questioning a lot when we first saw the roster of Maryville/Dragonsteel, and turns out he fits in like a glove.
Only piece that changed, and feels like nothing's changed, and if anything, it's just been an upgrade with how strong Zamudo has been and how well Dragonsteel's been performing, as everyone has found a way to level up on this roster.
Pressure over the dragon right now coming out from Fierce Starforge. Also, the wave being pushed out. Equalizer goes down. Zamudo, being pressured on, will have to use the Call of the Forge God to return it onto Philip. Both ultimates being spent.
It looks like he didn't have E up, and he was scared that if Philip landed the harpoon, he would have overheat, and a lot of damage goes down onto the Ornn. As Spyrax actually dips under the Sejuani. ECA goes wide north of the Sejuani.
Oh! Okay, that's going to be a pretty long stun as well. Now fight breaks out over by the Dragon Winsome, trying to put down his ultimate. Doesn't land it onto anything. Instincts by himself. Can't even use the bullet time to free him. Ultimate lands on a Scary Cherry. It's a marksman for marksman. Psycho falls. 2 kills going over to Blaze Olive, who gets the double, but XU can frontline no more. Daisy still standing right there. Spyrax looks to trade. Marksman for marksman. Mid laner for mid laner. Here come the blows, sweeping away. ABO will go on retreat after picking up some pretty significant kills.
Not bad for Dragonsteel. 2 kills on each of our mid laners after that skirmish. Be big moving forward. I think it's too early for Dragonsteel to still find fights. We're going to take a second look as, of course, ECA does go wide. We were looking at the top lane when this happened, but the engage came down from Winsome. I thought Winsome was in a little bit deep here, but I like what Dragonsteel ends up doing. They just turn everything onto Instinct, who was tagged by Braum. Instinct does his best to get damage off, but Psycho finds a nice cancel on the R. And yeah, I mean, Scary Jerry does end up going down because he flashed forward, but a good turnaround from UG and Spyrax here, just understanding a lot of tools were used and down, making sure that Ashe fell. They got the bot lane out from Dragonsteel, so Dragonsteel able to kind of answer afterwards, and they trade up.
Yeah, little trades going on here and there, but you still have to respect the fact that ABO did get kills. That's still money going on to Zeri. So you're working the map nonetheless for Fierce Starforge, and now with the second spawning of grubs, they'll be able to get 5 grubs to their name.
Yeah, and for me, this is a timer where Fierce Starforge, like, they need to find advantages or push. At the moment, they don't have any waves set up outside of top lane to actually take plates, because we have another minute 20 where you do have 5 grubs and you can get some plates. We saw Dragonsteel really use and abuse that in game 1, running with the Ziggs, whereas Spyrax is the one actually able to hit bot lane turret. Starforge don't have control down here as they just took the grubs on the top side. And they didn't rotate up heavily towards the top side. They instantly used those grubs. So I feel like a missed opportunity here from Fierce Starforge. They sent some extra members, just overload top. It would have been able to secure some plates. Instead, we're using the next minute to kind of fix our waves. And not able to take much action on the Rift, which does matter because as time goes on, Fierce Starforge is going to be in trouble.
Oh, Winsome caught out by the root. Here comes Daisy. XU looking to play the defense, but using the ultimate on the Scary Jerry means the bullet time does damage. Not enough, though, as the arrows return. Now coming up the wall is ABO. The call-in from Spyrax gets a bit of chip damage. The root lands, and now Dragonsteel looking for the retreat. Spyrax hops right over the wall. He finds ABO, and will take him down. A shutdown found by Spyrax. Clean up the rest of the Reapers. Dragonsteel take the team fight.
I mean, it's so tough to play into Braum Ivern. Like, we saw a full bullet time nearly go down on the Scary Jerry. Redemption plus Ivern Shield means it's chill, and then the chase from Braum with the double marksman was massive. Ivern helping set that up as well with the roots getting Braum in range. And Fierce Starforge, if their first round of spells don't really hit, the elongated fight for Dragonsteel is so good, and we saw it here. And the first skirmish is a 3v2, and it's a good find from Winsome on the Scary Jerry, who did lose the summons in the last fight. But look at all the health that comes down from the Redemption, the shields from the Ivern. ABO gets in just a little bit late. Dragonsteel does a great job of kiting out. So many kite tools on this team between Ashe, Braum, and Ivern. And then that root that connected got Spyrax back in range. Able to chase the Scary Jerry, has the slows. And it feels like this comp is already online for Dragonsteel, ahead of schedule. And it's only going to be pain from here on out for Fierce Starforge.
It's so well played as well. Everyone playing exactly what they need to do. I don't know if you saw Zyko. He stopped the bullet time with the Glacial Fissure. So everything was working out, and now Dragonsteel going to transfer that right over to the Rift Herald. At the same time, you got pressure coming out from Spyrax onto that top tower.
Yeah, so far I've been a happy Braum main watching this game so far. The Braum's been solid from Zyko, which we like to see. We're gonna you know, we still don't like no approach velocity, but he's starting to get points back, to put it that way.
Right, here we go. Focus into the mid lane.
Got no ult.
As you find the Solar Flare, Scary Jerry's in a bad way. He is going to fall, and Fear find a pick.
Good find from Fierce Starforge off the back of Winsome, as they barely get the smite off onto the Herald, but may not be able to secure the eye here. As we'll see if Zyko gets tricky.
I dare you, Zyko.
He can.
Do it. Do it, Zyko. You can hop right back over that wall. Go grab it. Go grab it. Okay. He's stunned up. He's got the eye. It's that easy. It's that easy. Look, there. He's got his teammate right there. So what? If you make it rain, you're
my
not raining
God.
on his parade. The eye was still picked up by Dragonsteel.
A+ Braum mechanics right there, you know, that you want to know with. We love that one. As ABO, TP coming down onto him, could be in trouble.
Oh, the Forge God, it's an easy knockup. Doesn't realize that Spyrax is right over that wall. Say hello, say goodbye. Spyrax goes on a rampage.
And Zamudo, being the good little tank that he is, giving that wave over to the carry and Lucian too. As the Spyrax is so accelerated in this game, Deserux. And again, he has an Ivern of the Braum to play off of. It feels so good as Lucian, being able to get in range if Ivern hits a Q root, and also playing with Braum as the double tap passive and the interaction with Winter's Bite really powerful between these guys. So again, if the engage from Pure Starforge, if it's not sound, if the Rumble R, Sejuani R, the MF R aren't connecting and doing big damage, these elongated fights from Dragonsteel are going to be big trouble for Fierce Starforge as TP's coming down. Spyrax gets out of the equalizer.
Ooh, Spyrax, good move right there. He's still gonna go down. No, he will not! The Enchanted Crystal Arrow means you can't turn the flamethrower around. Excellent use of the arrow from Scary Jerry, but here comes the extended chase. Zamudo will just burn his flash and Dragonsteel get away with murder.
Spyrax's Lucian, man, so good in that fight. That dash he had, it got out of the Glacial Prison and out of the equalizer from Fierce Starforge. So when these R's don't connect, he's able to actually sneak on out of there with some help from the burn, and it is still Fierce Starforge feeling the burn.
Even with Fierce Starforge having a 1.2k lead, the ball is not in their court right now. They got to get so much more done if they want to feel like they're in control of this game.
I mean, control is going to slip out from under them. Again, like being up 1k gold, that's just not enough against an Ivern comp. Where, again, like if you don't have a gold advantage, if those initial ults don't do significant enough damage to actually take members out of the fight, your ability to just kind of sustain back up, winning on the Moonstone, the shields, the redemptions that Ivern will always pack behind him, it's going to be really difficult. And you have an Ornn to buy so much space too. Like this front line is so solid from Dragonsteel. I think that Philip has to really connect on these next couple of equalizers, or else it's big trouble. As that one did go wide, didn't quite have the setup, and Lucian was able to escape. And the next one's going to have to be good, as I still feel like Fierce Starforge running out of time that their power window really has in this comp.
You still have Blaze Olive currently leading when it comes to gold, and this is going to be a big target for Dragonsteel to take down, because Azeri can have a Zeri moment. Enchanted Crystal Arrow goes wide, so the flare going to land. Here comes from the sidelines the bullet time to take down the health bars of Dragonsteel. Still Spyrax is able to return one, return two! Dragonsteel fight back, and even when you get the wombo, you just don't have the hands to swing with Dragonsteel. The fight going to continue as the equalizer goes down. Now Philip walking forward will use his hourglass to buy some time with the flamethrower, but it's not enough as he gets chipped away. The overheat will find a kill back. It's another trade. Dragonsteel, who had their backs against the wall, wrestled the fight back.
Yeah, I mean, this is a really good start to the fight from Fierce Starforge. Winsome is tanking all the initial damage as the W going, so doing his best, able to escape the Enchanted Crystal Arrow, and then that Solar Flare back. Really good setup for Instinct as a great ult as Dragonsteel had funneled through that choke. And taking Ivern out immediately was exactly what Fierce Starforge needed, but despite that, with how far ahead Spyrax is, was still able to pick up 2 in the back half. A triple kill going over to Sejuani. I think the gold went over to better spots for Dragonsteel in this fight, but and it's a 4 for 4 when the start of it was so good for Fierce Starforge, removing Ivern right off the bat with a massive bullet time. So I don't know how many better looks we're going to get as Fierce Starforge. I do think that making things sloppy and taking away some of these flashes and summoner spells will help them find setups, because again, if these R's don't connect, Dragonsteel in the elongated fight, way favored. So we'll see if Fierce Starforge can keep on playing fast. I feel like that is their only solution, just to make sure that, you know, flashes are denied, and then when those are down, they can try and find the targets and really punish heavily.
And the other thing to keep in mind is there were some mistakes coming out from Dragonsteel in that fight. Psycho didn't point his Unbreakable towards the bullet time. So the odds were kind of in favor for Fear, but that's taking a lopsided fight, and so is this underneath the tower as Philip gets dove by Zamudo and Spyrax.
Ornn don't care about those turrets. Choo-choo, he's coming right on through. And now Spyrax going to knock down that brick as well, trying to stick around. One more auto. No re-engage from Fierce Starforge. Now they're just going to get kited out.
Look at ABO, though. He's right onto a Nexus Tower. Here comes Paul the Forge God looking for an angle. Knockup comes through as well as the bullet time. Glacial Fisher able to interrupt that. Now XU getting chased down by the arrows, chipping away on his back. XU finds the Arctic Assault away, but now Instinct's in a bad way. Blaze Olive pops the ultimate as he arrives, and Dragon still head for the heals.
They still got everything they wanted, though, from that little skirmish, taking a couple kills for themselves, knocked down the inner turret as well. That said, on the top side, ABO was able to get an inhibitor turret down. I don't think that's going to make a massive difference in this game, but it is gold for Fierce Starforge as the gold graph is even. But again, with the champs that are showing, I still really favor Dragonsteel, as Yuji just completed a NACL, so that's one way to get other members that don't have access to cleanse out of a Sejuani or a Leona ult. Really big for Spyrax if Winsome or Axie are able to connect with those big cooldowns on the Lucian that can be oh so slippery. Really, I know it delays the Moonstone a bit, but I do like the buy from Dragonsteel. I don't think they need it. All Dragonsteel have to do is just absorb the engage and turn the fight around. We've seen that work out for them if they're able to do so.
Dragon being started up by Dragonsteel. Should be a quick take right now because all the presence of Fierce Starforge is towards this top side. I think they feel if they can take control of this side of the map and take that inhibitor, it does put a lot of pressure that Dragonsteel will have to respond to. That alleviates pressure for Fierce Starforge, but you're asking a lot right now.
That inhibitor, though, doesn't really matter that much, because like with the Dragon down for the next 5 minutes, we're playing Baron side for each of our teams, so we would just be kind of feeding gold over to Dragonsteel this early in the game. Having a big creep spawn every wave. Yes, it's pressure, but I don't think it's very useful pressure. Better to have it on bot side, away from the objective, and then maybe drag a member if you're down a TP. So
one of those things where beggars can't really be choosers.
Yeah.
That was the lane they were able to get. Look at this. This might be an angle for Fierce Starforge. They had Philip on the other side looking for that equalizer. It's just XU has to pull that trigger and not willing to go for it just yet.
And this Corrigan just way too strong as Horn called in. Choo-choo.
We go. Call the Forge God finds a knockup onto Instinct. Instinct's taking a lot of punishment, but will put out the bullet time nonetheless. Zamudo has to flash out of it now. The tankiest member will fall to a Blaze Olive. A flash out from Scary Jerry. Dragonsteel are falling bit by bit. 3 members remain as Fear Claim 2.
The R's connected this time around from Fierce Starforge. Zeri did so much damage in that fight as Scary Jerry is able to sneak on out. And that kind of caught me by surprise. Fierce Starforge, the straight up 5v5 in the mid lane. They out DPS Dragonsteel. They're able to get through the Ivern to sustain. And that's just going to be a free Baron for them. Whoa.
And it's about the way they're taking some of these fights. It's starting to feel forced, man. It really is, and it's allowing Fierce Starforge to have these moments where this gold lead is starting to matter. 3.5k, and they're wearing purple.
Yeah, they didn't have that before the fight. I want to see a replay of that one if possible, because I didn't see, like, I was kind of watching Instinct's ultimate, which was decent. It ended up being canceled by the Braum ult, but I didn't actually catch where the equalizer was. I think that's what ended up making the big difference in that one, as the ults connected, and Dragonsteel weren't able to really get Lucian in there, get Ashe in there. Yeah, I'm curious about this. Yeah, it's a big equalizer. That's a really good equalizer from Philip. It forced Scary Jerry back, and then he just zoned Spyrax out. So Philip lives. Spyrax only DPSs him, loses flash, and dies. Really nice equalizer from Philip to split up the fight. Bought a lot of space for ABO, who was able to pump the vast duration of that one.
And I think even though it got erupted, the bullet time was still very impactful.
Yeah.
I mean, you had to step up to interrupt it, which means you're stepping on the equalizer. It's a good use of ultimates for Fierce Starforge.
It's now huge.
Yeah, it puts them in a situation where they actually feel like they have control of the map. They're pushing Vision forward, and they're looking to siege towers.
I think we really needed that. Also, I will say Zamudo's kind of starved himself out in the last few minutes. Like, grouping with Ornn and Ivern is nice, but you do want doubles on the Ornn to get those ornaments in. So he did kind of lose a little bit of that lead that he did have at one point in this game. Is quite nice here for Fierce Starforge, who are stacked up as 5. A little dangerous in the Ivern and Lucian again. We'll see if we find any fishes.
Equalizer goes down. Now Zamudo's in a bad way. He has to get away from the equalizer. Zyko's able to put up the Unbreakable. Does block a lot of that damage. Now counter engage called by Dragonsteel. They see the health bars getting chunked away, but a Blaze Olive has a full one, and he's ready to utilize it. So he starts gunning forward. Purple buff, still bringing the minions forward. And now Zamudo sees an angle onto Philip. Can't quite capitalize onto it. Instinct to the Blaze Olive, and the rest of Fierce Starforge will take the tower.
I gotta say, I think that we really need a Moonstone on Yuji. Like, if we do have Moonstone, I think that know, all the health bars of Dragonsteel can kind of end up looking a lot better after this. I think that because we're pushing right now, once we get Moonstone in, I do think that's going to make quite a bit of a difference. But at the moment, Fierce Starforge at least able to force them off, at least able to take the turret. It does slow down the Baron quite a bit, but this has been a rather successful Baron. As you can see, this game is a little bit back and forth once they pick up Baron. Rather big spike off the fight they've been able to take afterwards. But again, the comp from Dragonsteel, they don't care as much about the gold as this one goes on. I think it really is just about finding those supportive items onto Yuji, absorbing the initial engage, and the longer the fight goes, the better for Dragonsteel.
One player who stayed at the very, very top of the gold, you got to pull it up once again, Blaze Olive.
Yeah.
He's been cashing in, and he's been a big threat in these fights. A lot of the times where you see Dragonsteel looking for a counter engage angle, ABO just steps up, instantly presses his R, and suddenly Dragonsteel are completely rethinking that. ABO, a big threat that Dragonsteel have to handle.
Also, just a lot of CS being picked up by Fierce Starforge while Dragonsteel have been committed to the grouping. And we have XP advantages too, which I think is really significant. So maybe Dragonsteel want to take a look back at this one. I know that they're trying to play only 2 lanes. You can't really play 3 with Ornn Ivern, but maybe trying to be a little bit more resource heavy, getting resources on these guys in the mid game when the game still was even. Now we're just all kind of stacked up as 5, and they'll know Moonstone and the Ivern. I really feel like that matters. It can really help keep your team healthy in a lot of these fights where we have seen big AoE ultimates get Dragonsteel quite low.
Remember, these ultimates coming up from Fierce Starforge. They're looking to wombo them together, and there it goes, right onto Spyrax. Dragonsteel peel back. Daisy's down. The arrow lands onto a Blaze Olive, but he's able to get out in time. Winsome has to bail, flashing out. Now Dragonsteel, step up, step forward. XU coming out from over the wall. Will be able to scry onto the rest of Dragonsteel. He's looking for the steal angle. Will have the Warmogs taking away, jumping forward, looking for Winsome. Winsome will fall. Spyrax grabs the kill. A little bit of health left on the Dragon. Philip goes forward. He's looking to burn him down, and he'll do just that. A Blaze Olive picks up one as well. XU, Arctic Salt for the chase, gets rooted up by the Ivern, as well as the winner's bite from Zyko looking for the slow. The chase still comes through, and Dragonsteel, they're losing out on these fights, Cubby.
Yeah, Mountain Dragon picked up. Honestly, really nice for Fierce Starforge, also being able to deny that from Dragonsteel. I feel like those individual Drakes are going to be actually pretty big since it is a Mountain Soul. With Fierce Starforge, they continue to win these fights. I'm a little bit surprised, but I think that Philip's actually playing these really nice. The equalizers have been rather solid, and then when he is stepping up, taking space, using the Zanyas and the Q just to be a zoning tool that deals a lot of damage. And he shredded Scary Jerry in that last fight in the back half. So I do think we've seen some nice moments from Philip's Rumble. Again, a pick that we don't necessarily know Philip for. We know Zamudo for, but it being a B1 denial in the back half of the game, Philip's been quite big for Fierce Starforge.
I've been incredibly impressed with Philip on this Rumble. Taking in mind the way the early game was going, a lot of these lane swaps, they were looking to deny Philip once again. But hey, he stuck it out. He's getting kills. He's getting farm. He's actually out farming Zamudo by a very significant amount right now. And showing up, placing these equalizers exactly where you need to. It's getting Fear a life into this game.
And this gold lead and some of the items and inventories, I think is big enough now to really push past Dragonsteel. QSS onto the Zeri, going to be quite nice for a Blaze Olive as well. I'm just really curious what happens when Moonstone comes in, because the way Moonstone works with Ivern, again, if you're stacked up, the effect, those redemptions, you just kind of chain the effect on other allies. It kind of stacks on everything, can be really big. So I think that this really increases the power level of Ivern when this item comes in. And I'm just interested to see if it is enough to really sustain through the equalizer, the bullet times, and these big ultimates that we have seen be so big for Fierce Starforge in these last few fights that have now gotten them this lead. I think it's enough to actually have a significant advantage against Dragonsteel.
Yeah. You can see right now that Dragonsteel are playing it really, really safe. They can't really siege up in the mid lane without feeling like XU is going to hop over a wall and engage onto your back line. This is very deadly, but right now, our team's starting to stack up around the middle. This is looking like a knocked loose concert. Everyone's come to throw down as the call goes on Instinct. He is dead! They'll follow it onto Instinct. Winsome's gonna be the next one to drop. Now Blaze Olive trying to do work, but
it's cool.
Psycho's there to put up the unbreakable and block the shots. Winner's Bite goes in. You'll cleanse out the stun, but Clan, you cleanse death. He'll take 2 with him to get life back for Fear Starforge. Now Philip wants to bring in the flamethrower, wants to bring the heat, wants to make this a spicy team fight as he burns Zamudo to the grave. Extra well done. Zamudo sidesteps. XU still chases Philip, going on the back end now as minions start to chip away at the base of Dragonsteel.
OTP.
It's Philip teleporting in to grab an inhibitor.
Okay, that's at least one inhib going down, and a huge play from Ablaze. All of the QSS got him out of the winner's bite, and he was able to turn both kills onto the carries of Dragonsteel. So no Ashe, no Lucian alive. If they're up, they can actually threaten Baron. The fact that they're now down means that Philip, they win the back half of the fight in the 3v3, and Philip even TPs to take an inhibitor. Scary Jerry should be able to clear this before the turret falls. But big wins again for Fear Starforge, and that gold lead, it holds strong.
Goodness gracious. Every time this keeps happening, it
Baron's
looks
down.
like Dragonsteel
Baron's down.
are going to get some kind of lead, some kind of something.
Wow.
You know, it looks like they're going to win a team fight. It looks like they're going to get an objective. It's always ABO who's been the hard stop to that time and time again. And now Fear, it's the purple team wearing the purple buff with an inhibitor exposed, now down in the bot lane, exposed in the top lane. Everything is falling to their favor.
They should be able to pick up a second Mountain Dragon as well, which will up a lot. Again, Dragonsteel really just a 2-threat team here with the Ivern or Lucian Ashe. Able to stack up armor too. It's been nice and efficient for Fear Starforge. But man, like that fight's close, and like the saving grace for Dragonsteel here has got to be we do have Moonstone on Ivern. It really buffs up a lot of what he's able to put out for his team in terms of support. So is this going to be enough now for Lucian and Ashe to hold on, because the lead has only been growing for Fear Starforge on the gold grab.
7.8k. Zamudo steps up.
Frisky.
See all the bushes now applied, denying a lot of vision for the siege that Fear Starforge are looking to put in. Makes it that much harder, as you can see Winsome losing about half his health in the process. All the meanwhile, Super Minion Wave now starting to collect over in that bottom lane. It's something that Dragonsteel will have to deal with.
Look out for Zamudo R, as we have Scary Jerry cleansing out of the Sejuani All.
Yeah, cleanse coming through. Well, the Forge God looking for the knockup, able to get it on XU. Here comes the bullet time as well. ABO steps up, and once again, every question you bring, ABO is the answer.
I mean, I feel like all the damage from Fear Starforge, it's been overwhelming Dragonsteel. And once they got this lead, they didn't look back. It was really that one mid-game team fight. Fear Starforge running with that. First Nexus turret falls. Only one carry up. Scary Jerry has to be safe.
You gotta do something, and you gotta do something now, because that Nexus tower is about to get destroyed. Here come the auto. Scary Jerry getting knocked up by XU. The Arctic Salt lands, and ABO flashes forward. Scary Jerry's dead, and the Reapers, it's not gonna be a clean sweep. They want to take this to a series. They'll do just that. 1-1 apiece. Fear Starforge.
I mean, I really felt like with Dragonsteel being even going into that mid game, they were going to be okay. And the Mikhails coming in from the Ivern, I gotta say, looking back, I think it was a little bit early. I understand it going against Sejuani and Leona, but not having that Moonstone, I really feel like those big team fight ults, like we saw the Rumble ults start to connect. We saw those bullet times even being canceled by Braum in the back half. They started to connect, and that was enough damage to get through what Dragonsteel had. So zoning out some of the carries in those fights too was really, really well played. I'm just almost like caught off guard by how much Zeri was able to do, and also just the lack of support, like from the Ivern with no Moonstone and going Mikhails early. I do really feel like that nerfed what he's able to put out in the game. And yeah, that was a weird one for me. I'm kind of interested to like go back through that one myself. I was a little bit surprised like how we got there in Fear Starforge. I mean, props to them, they put it well, but I had a very different read in that game.
I gotta ask you, Cubby. There were two players that really stood out to me. One was Philip. A lot of his equalizer placement really changed around a lot of those fights.
It's
but
ABO.
The other one is, of course, Blaze Olive, and he's going to be our player of the game. Because, as I said, every single fight where I really did think Dragonsteel were about to just take over, ABO steps up and turns that around.
And I really feel like, keep in mind, ABO, before that first fight that he turned it around, he pushed top lane all the way to the inhibitor turret and took it. Got a lot of resources on himself, and then when he brought that back into the fight, he started destroying Dragonsteel. So I'm curious to look back at that one because like it's almost like I checked the scoreboard twice and I just saw Zamino like not farm for a few minutes with Yuji. I feel like Dragonsteel felt like they just 5v5, then they didn't. They lost a lot of resources on the map and just started falling behind. And a lot of that was thanks to what ABO was doing. Might have saved the game or won the game for Fear Starforge in that last fight. Killing both carries before he went down was massive. So really good play from the boys all as they even up this series and guarantee that we at least get a game 4 in this format.
And those game 4s, man, they do mean a lot because that's where things start to change. We'll talk about that a little bit more as we get closer. But for now, we're going to take a moment to throw it over a short break as we get ready for game number 3. Man, it's delivering Fear Starforge versus Dragonsteel.
Hey, did you know that kid is vaping the same toxic chemical that's used in taxidermy? Formaldehyde?
Formaldehyde.
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 Formaldehyde. Formaldehyde.
Formaldehyde.
Formaldehyde. Formaldehyde. Formaldehyde.
Here's a fact that'll stop you in your tracks. Teens who vape can be exposed to toxic chemicals like formaldehyde. Know the real cost.
Well, I think Cubby, he does a pretty good job most of the time. I would put him in S tier.
Here's my take. Like, I kind of want to hold back on the S tier. I've watched his top 3 ranking. He doesn't have Danny on the top 3 of NACL.
What?
Crazy, bizarre take. And he put me 3rd.
What the Sigma?
So there's some beef there. So yeah, he's A tier for me. He doesn't deserve S tier. Yeah. Sorry, Cubby. Okay, I love Genghis.
I'm going to strongly say S.
Yeah?
It's got to be S.
He's like enthusiastic, like whenever he talks about the game. So I feel like that's pretty like OP.
I'm hovering around A.
I'm gonna have to go with A, but in front of Cubby. Like left to right matter.
Just put Cubby.
Yeah,
like Cub. Okay, I actually really like Cubby, but he's an op this split.
Yeah, he's
kind of sleeping on us. So like.
All right, Beatdown Boulevard. I feel like he has potential. He's got good pacing. I'd put him like B+ if I could, but I'd probably put him B just so we have some more variety.
Yeah, B for Beatdown Boulevard.
Yeah, B for Beatdown Boulevard.
Nice. Does that make this next guy D for Deserox?
I mean, that seems mean. I feel like we're really
targeting him. Okay, yeah, that's kind of f***ed up. Maybe...
Put him D.
That's kind of f***ed up.
Tony, what do you feel about?
Deserox can go C.
Damn, so you just throwing Joshi and D.
Yeah, I am, bro.
Okay, Joshi is lower on my tier list because he made me do this game show and then he forgot to press record. That was like a complete waste of my time. So he needs to go down for that. Like,
okay, now it looks nice and clean.
It does. It looks like we know what we're talking about. Like if you saw this tier list, they would be like, damn, like these guys put some thought into it.
Hey, did you know that kid is vaping the same toxic chemical that's used in taxidermy? Formaldehyde?
Formaldehyde.
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 Formaldehyde. Formaldehyde.
Formaldehyde.
Formaldehyde. Formaldehyde. Formaldehyde.
Here's a fact that'll stop you in your tracks. Teens who vape can be exposed to toxic chemicals like formaldehyde. Know the real cost. Welcome back to the NACL, and let's just get the puns out of the way. Our hands, there's a series on it. We know where this is going right now. 1-1 apiece. Fierce Starforge are able to strike back, Cubby.
Yeah, I mean, I was kind of thrown off by that last game. I thought that the scaling was really in favor of Dragonsteel, but I was wrong. We ended up seeing Fierce Starforge really overwhelm Dragonsteel in that last one. And that huge lead that Spyrax had ended up being shut down by a Blazolve, who picked up some side lane farms, some resources for himself, came back and hit Dragonsteel with a vengeance once he got involved in those fights.
Even when it felt like Dragonsteel had control of the game, Blazolve was still leading the charts with gold. He was constantly farming, as you said, in the side lanes and everything. And he was the big counterattack that Fierce Starforge really had to turn these team fights around.
Yeah, and I think there were like a lot of things that were weird in that game. I think Ornn kind of starved himself out throughout. The damage, though, from Fierce Starforge just ended up being too much, just having, 3 real damage pro champions and a little bit more of a diverse profile, a little bit lacking on the magic damage for Dragonsteel. And some of those Rumble ults were really big. Some of the bullet times were really big. They had these big zoning tools, and Ash Lucian ended up being a little bit gated. Able to close the gap for Dragonsteel with everyone else. And we saw that game honestly be really close and competitive for the vast majority of it. And Fierce Starforge just kind of pushed through at the end. So 1-1 series. We'll see where it goes from here.
Post-game breakdown presented by The Real Cost. Game number 3 is now in the window. As we start looking forward, this is where those fearless bans are going to start to mean more and more. Right now, this is going to be our last game where we have regular draft bans. After this, our teams will only have 3 bans apiece.
Yeah, and we've still yet to see Senna make an appearance. Oh, okay, there's Senna.
The
we found Senna, guys. All right, so as we saw some of the more aggressive picks now taken away in the bot lane, we get to see some more champions we show up in the ban list. It feels like some of the teams, like as long as they're running Rel, Leona, they feel like they can play fast enough in the Senna. They're still willing to play into it. But now that champs like that are off the table, taking Senna away for Dragonsteel makes sense.
And then Nass is still going to be banned away. I'm very curious about that. Cubby, do you have any info on sudden Nasus bans? What's going on?
LCK has been whipping out the mid Nasus, man. Everyone read the E and W tooltips, and it's actually been quite good seeing the ban list there too. It was not played successfully by Faker, but Showmakers played it to a couple wins. And yeah, I mean, the EW buttons on that champion are disgusting. So, everyone figured it out. And now, with Azir taken away, we have Vi first picked for UG and Dragonsteel. So, a lot of direction from Vi. We'll see how they're able to pair up with it and follow up.
It's always nice to see a Vi because it means you get a lot of early skirmishing power, and it oftentimes really affects your mid lane. If you're affecting your mid lane, I mean, UG Spyrax, that's the 1-2 punch you really want from Dragonsteel. Response out of Fierce Starforge, it is going to leave open the Xayah opportunity to go the Lovers Duo if they want to take that, and Rakan is the
real choice for Dragonsteel here, because usually their bot lane wants to play something like Kalista Renata into it, or but if you do that, you miss out on some of the good pairings for Vi on the top side. Specifically looking at something like Talia, which is now likely going to end up on the ban list for Fierce Starforge. So ends up being Varus Renata, as Scary Jerry does love that Varus. We'll see what Fierce Starforge ends up picking up. They have a choice to take a jungler here, or they can blind a solo laner and throw some bans to help protect it.
And this is something that we've seen Dragonsteel do in the past, is they like grabbing the Varus with the Renata. First of all, Varus, Scary Jerry's really good at it. He's able to just sit in lane and start farming heads with his piercing arrows, no problem. It's the Renata that acts as a takeaway for future picks, such as pairings like Kalista Renata and whatnot. They did it in the Supernova game to take away that Renata from them, and now, once again, going to do that pairing.
Yeah, it does take away some of the power Callista later on too, as you're kind of talking about. Now I'm looking at my Callista Blitzcrank. You know, a little bit of a deep reach there. We have seen Blitz emerge in some of our later drafts, but Talia ban, Orianna does beat Talia later on, but the power that Talia brings, just that guaranteed point and click with the flick, it is a lot. So just wanting to get rid of that.
Yeah, and if you have it with a Vi, like, that's a nightmare
Wondering
combo.
if we see a Syndra ban, as I actually quite like Syndra and Azaya, because with the Scatter of the Week, that is a way to at least force a cleanse or potentially an R out of Zaya at quite a bit of range, as they take away Ahri. So, yeah, potential for a Spirax Syndra to emerge, as I actually kind of like what Syndra brings for this game. Also, uniquely combos really well with Vi. Just that single target damage and lockdown's really big. From the Vi plus Syndra. So we'll see if that ends up being the combo or something like a Hui. Another option for Spirax.
Well, that's what I was mentioning. That's why I think these two bans are really good from Fierce Starforge, because you're taking away stuff that works well with the early setup that Vi has, both the Talia and the Ahri. But as you said, that still leaves up the Syndra. Monkey get picked up as Wukong gets locked in for Fierce Starforge. I'm still curious about that mid lane pick, so we'll see if that is going to be a Syndra.
I mean, really solid comp so far from Fierce Starforge. We got a ball carrier with someone for Rakan to piggyback off of. I'm wondering if we do see Wukong get up in the face of Vi, there is some potential for like level 2. You can take a camp and then go fight 5 before Vi is level 3. Wukong's quite good at fighting into this matchup. So options for Fierce Starforge early on potentially, but it does look like it's going to be a Zamudo blind Jax. So wondering what Philip is going to pull out into that. He does love his Gragas. So I would not be surprised to see Gragas up there to neutralize.
You know, a little fun fact, even though it's not going to the top lane, I have heard in the past that Wukong is Philip's favorite champion.
It is.
Just loves the monkey man.
Yeah, when he debuted in 21 summer, he was playing a lot of Wukong. So that was in the top lane. Still likes Aatrox matchup after some of the changes. Actually, still pretty good for Wukong up top. So something for you to think about at home. I love that matchup, but will be Phillips all reliable, and that is Gragas top. So just going to do his best to neutralize this Jax. Jax will have the potential to open up things in the side lane later on, but for Philip, it's all about trying to freeze that lane and just make it as hard as possible for Jax to really snowball and hit the turrets and kill him.
And also, I just like the fact that we're going around the same lengths of Wombo combo that we had in the last draft from Fierce Starforge, because a lot of these ultimates go really well together.
Yeah.
You know, you talked about the Cyclone, same thing with Rakan, same thing with the Shockwave. They're all synergistic abilities, even to some extent the explosive cast. So we are having that scenario where Dragons still have to put respect towards the 5v5 or face a scenario that's going to be very similar to what happened in game 2.
Everyone's a ball carrier here for the Orianna, so can be quite good. Dragons still do have some really good single target lockdown though. That Viol being able to follow up with the Hui, with the Varus is quite solid. So we'll see who's able to pull the trigger first. And honestly, if the hostile takeover can make a really big difference later on. But Fierce Starforge feels like a really bread and butter like team comp. I know it's Fearless Draft. It's not necessarily meta, but everyone's practiced the Wukong Ori, Rakan Ori, and Rakan Wukong combo is very common here in League. So see if Fierce Starforge can lean on that to find a win.
So a reminder for our audience as we head into game number 3, the stakes that are involved with this game. It's not enough to be top 3, which both of these teams are right now. You got to break into the top 2 because that gets you to Los Angeles, Riot Games Arena, and the big one gets you to Sao Paulo, Brazil to play in the Tier 2 Americas.
Yeah, really excited for that tournament as the other 4 teams that will be there have been decided. NACL going to be the last to see who we send. And I think these two would be
this is technically the first qualifier.
Yeah, these two would be really, really good candidates. So, yeah, I'm really curious to see who ends up winning today and gets the honor of representing North America. I know from talking with XU, he said it'd be really huge for him, just given what happened at the start of the split and kind of dealing with being out of LCS. Said that would be a huge comeback for him and a real bounce back and just kind of show that, his decision to compete with this roster was sound.
I mean, he was under the Dig umbrella for about 2.5 years and only really got to be their starting jungler in 2023. And even then, he didn't get the best shake. It was with Dove and Rich, which meant there were some communication barriers with the side lanes. I felt like it left a lot of questions for XU when it comes to the LCS, but hey, he's battling his way to get back in.
Yeah, and good to see here. This has been spotted. So XU is actually on the red buff. Does not have access to Smite, but Yuji doesn't either. So we're going to have a 2v2. And again, Wukong level 2. If Vi doesn't have all 3 abilities, I actually do kind of like Wukonging this matchup, but with no smite, XU will retreat. It's a little bit of a stall from each of our junglers here, but we'll see what Starforge can do with the lanes.
Both of our junglers going to be on the bottom side. All the meanwhile, currently, I'm going to be watching the bottom lane as a whole. Scary Jerry has been incredible on this Varus. Usually puts out some pretty immaculate games. And the thing about Scary Jerry, especially when he's on champions he can be more aggressive with, same thing with Zyko, that pairing with Renata. That's usually when we see the best of Scary Jerry, because his regulars using KDA, 7.5, a lot of that came from kills in lane.
And a lot of it was playing aggressive combos like this, as we see a good handshake landing from Zyko. Dragon's still going to push forward. Scary Jerry doesn't have an ability, though, to take down those blight stacks. But the lane is frozen, so that's going to hurt really bad for the bot lane of Fear Starforge. Very well played from Zyko and Scary Jerry.
UG setting up towards the mid lane right now. ABO is playing towards the side that he feels safest. Now going to spot out this Vi coming forward. That means a very early flash. Keep in mind, Orianna's not the most mobile of champions, so this can be punished.
Really respectful of ABO there. That said, he's going to end up sending Spyrax back to base on this wave, so Spyrax does have access to the TP to get back, but Izal doing a nice job of getting some of the power of Orianna early on.
Both of our junglers going to meet by the Scuttle Crab. XU looking for the steal, not quite fast enough. Will be empty-handed. Double knockup coming out from Winsome. Once again, this bot lane scraps it out.
I gotta say, though, no one being bot lane, like all these skirmishes, UG finding XU on that top side is really important, because you can see Instinct wasn't really able to pick up a big item advantage at all. Scary Jerry is sitting on D-Blade, going into a longsword and boots. He's fine. He has a big experience lead, and at the moment, no one can really break this lane for Fear Starforge. So this has been a very favorable conditions for the Dragonsteel bot lane. As we see XU make his way to hit the respawn Raptors. He did take these initially against Dragonsteel, so beating UG to this camp is quite good for him. He's on this bot side, and it does look like Fear Starforge were able to get that bot lane in, but once Scary Jerry resets, he's going to have a really favorable lane against Instinct. So really curious to see if XU can get involved down here to try and break this. Because if Dragonsteel just allow the slow push this one out, Varus going to come back and hit really hard.
It is going to be a little bit tricky. I mean, UG should be pathing towards his side, expecting his Raptor camp to be up, even though XU already took it. XU hovering towards the side of the map so he can get the Scuttle Crab. So no, XU not going to focus too early onto this bottom lane. It's UG who's just kind of on recovery mode, realizing that a lot of his camps have been taken away.
Yeah, I wonder if UG also wraps up his clear down here just to make sure that Scary Jerry gets this wave in. Again, I think if Scary Jerry is able to get this wave in and reset, bot lane is going to have really favorable conditions for Dragonsteel. They can definitely win this 2v2. So, yeah, you can see UG after this camp just walking off here, making sure that Dragonsteel are going to be okay. This will not be frozen. The base will try to be taken here by Dragonsteel. And if Scary Jerry, again, gets back, big advantage for the Varus early on.
Watching the recalls go out if they're going to stop Zyko. No, Winsome was trying to be a little bit of a menace, but that recall is going to be made. Not even the longsword going to be cashed in on, just going straight for the boots upgrade. It's going to be Scary Jerry, and yeah, as you had called, lane swap now being called by Dragonsteel.
I mean, the grubs are up. Sumito did TP here, so he can't interact with the grubs, but if he's able to pull this out, he might actually go for that freeze again that we saw in the last game. So if Philip comes down here to match, he's A, going to miss some of this next wave because Sumito did pull it and freeze it, and B, he can't interact with this top lane either because I mean, he doesn't have TP. So Dragonsteel using some of their laning and rotations around the map, get a favorable map advantage, and they use it to take grubs. Really well played.
Like it a lot. Going after the grubs, Winsome's gonna notice, but notice a little bit too late. Same thing with XU, who can't really do much to stop this first spawn from being 3-0 going over to Dragonsteel. We'll have to do something a little bit later. You don't want to give Grub-ageddon, the 6 grubs, to Dragonsteel, because, man, they can take towers in a timely manner.
Jax would like that a lot.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Bonk, 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 bonk.
Get some friends to join you in the bonk session, too, you know? Anyway.
Not so lonely. You got the Twitch chatters alongside you.
Yeah.
We're all side laners, man.
See bot lane. Sumito does have a nice little CS advantage against Gragas. That's to be expected, I think, of this Jax matchup. Gragas is just about neutralizing, as XU does not have access to 6 quite yet. find the Dragonsteel bot lane, not able to get anything significant done. XU was ahead in the jungle a little bit in XP. So we'll see if he can make a difference afterwards. As Middle found the stun. If he flashes this barrel, should be good. Philip does find the combo.
Very nice combo from Philip. Should get away from that scenario and try and turn it on to Zamudo. Did not have enough damage to finish off the job. Zamudo's going to heal up. That was pretty close. Now Yuji over on this top side spots out XU going for the long chase. XU 200 health remains, has to flash over to his turret.
Nice force there from Yuji, and again in isolation. This lane going really well for Dragonsteel. Really started by Zyko and Scary Jerry in the early levels. And they've yet to look back from there, so... I mean, as long as that's going on, Zamudo's going to win War of Attrition. Or at least, you know, if he has his opportunities against Gragas, all Gragas can do is really slow down the Jax. So I think this map state really good for Dragonsteel early on.
Recalls now coming out from Dragonsteel. This bot lane, on so far, pretty amazing performances, especially Scary Jerry. I like seeing his development over the course of the last few years. You know, we first really noticed this guy when he was on Converse University. That was a top 4 finish back in CLOL 22. Maryville were quick to pick him up. They realized, hey, he's a volatile bundle of aggression. Let's mold him and refine him into a consistent killing machine. And its development, it's shown over the past 3 splits.
Yeah, it's funny because, like, for me too, when it comes to marksman, I think it's way harder to develop the later stages of the game. Like, we've seen a lot of marksmen that have come up, and the ones that we always talk about being the good prospects are like, hey, this guy's just naturally a really good team fighter, just needs to learn how to lane better and repeat those actions to make sure that he can get in better states going later into the game, and then he has the skills to carry that through. With Scary Jerry, it was the opposite. We knew Scary Jerry was the aggressive laner, could find leads, but didn't always see him consistently snowball that, 2 victories. To see him really backtrack the common track that I see marksmen do has been, I think, even more impressive and really speaks to the growth that Scary Jerry has been experiencing, because I think it's a lot harder to learn how to play out mid to late game stages as an AD than it is actually the earlier stages, where a lot of the laning interactions you get are repeatable. Yeah, props to Scary Jerry on that. And it's funny because Instinct on the other side, he was someone that when he debuted with TSM, I was like, hey, this guy can't really team fight, but we haven't really seen him become that beast of a laner yet. So that is something that Instinct's still going through, but we have already seen some of the strong team fights from Instinct, especially in that game too, and we'll see what he can do later on in this one from behind.
Dragon still setting up for a siege onto the bottom lane. They'll focus on to Philip, stopping the body slam. Explosive cast only lands on the 1. Handshake finds the stun nonetheless. Cease and desist goes on to XU. XU with the Cyclone looking for the counter engage. Here comes Hostile Takeover. Winsome has arrived and Scary Jerry is low. He'll still get first blood. 1-for-1 trade as a Blaze Olive shows up. He's looking for that shockwave. He wants to bring it down and turn the fight for Fierce Starforge. They find Zyko. They'll tear him apart. 2-for-1. Fierce Starforge.
The old miss from Spyrax as ABO was just walking in, and the fact that a Blaze Olive ends up getting evolved, it does make the difference here for Fierce Starforge in the bot lane. TP going to be used by Philip to respond to the 2 points taken from Zamudo top, but overall, Fierce Starforge, I think, pretty happy with how that skirmish went.
It was the right place, right time for a lot of their members, especially XU. Had a brilliant use of the Cyclone there to really stall that out for the rest of the members to get in. And now it's going to give Fierce Starforge at least a little bit of momentum onto their side when it comes to this bot lane battle. All that being said, didn't deny Scary Jerry a kill. He still cashed in.
A little frisky here. No ults available for XU or a Blaze Olive, so I will say that skirmish going to Fierce Starforge, that is nice, but given the timing of when that fight was taken, Dragonsteel, the ults up will be okay. Meanwhile, though, Scary Jerry going to get flashed on. He's got no summons, he's dead.
He's all by his lonesome, and now he's dead, and he got a kill. What?
Okay.
Scary Jerry.
I mean, Varus damage really good if you pop those blight stacks. Scary Jerry able to find it. That's a big trade in the end as Instinct burned his flash, set it up, thought he'd be fine, but the Varus damage was enough to get it through. The 6 grubs are secured for Dragonsteel. It's going to be really big for Jax, who's going to try and create space on the map later on. And we'll see if Zamudo can do a little bit of a better job this time. Game 1, we saw Zamudo kind of own. It was up from the lane swap. Did a nice job in snowballing that advantage. Okay, we're going to get a second look at this one. Scary Jerry at least canceled 1 base. I mean, I do appreciate Fierce Starforge. They knew they were going to drop grubs, not having Wukong or Orianna ult, so they are able to try and find a window like this. But, man, Scary Jerry, really solid on this. I thought the barrier was a waste. And he was going to find this, but the post-mortem auto is enough to take down Instinct.
Might have fallen, but he was able to knock that final arrow through. Scary Jerry, you have to pay the price if you're going to go after this man. Currently has 2 kills. TS lead as well, and now over the wall, they're able to find Winsome and knock him down to about 1/3 of his health.
A good chunk there. Winsome doesn't have any fruit to take, so...
Cubby, I'm still not over that kill.
And some Qs could be okay. It's nice, like Scary Jerry getting some more money in his pockets. Never a bad thing if you are a Dragonsteel fan. On a champion that I know he has a ton of confidence on, his Varus in particular.
God, I'm trying to remember the word he used for playing Varus, like a Varus bot, something like that. He talked about it in an interview where he just feels that confident where it's like kind of autopilot for him. This is a very, very comfortable champion.
I mean, I think it really embraces what Scary Jerry is strongest at naturally, which is finding the right times to step up and also being lane dominant. Things that you have to do on Varus if you want to really find that DPS later on in the game. At the moment, we do have XU trying to slink in and maybe look for a play on Scary Jerry, but UG is hovering unbeknownst to Fear Starforge. It looks like Dragonsteel just going to take their reset and maybe get out here in time for the Dragon.
Ew. Get away from that monkey. XU in on the Wukong is such a big part of the engage for Fear Starforge. An attempt at a kill at Zamudo. Explosive Cast just knocks him away. All the meanwhile, the call coming out from Dragonsteel, focus is topside. The Rift Herald, something that they do want to go after, considering they have those 6 grubs. Grub again, and they can take towers oh so fast with that Rift Herald in their pocket.
Yeah, Rift would be big, and again, we have the lane swap coming in. So Zamudo heading towards that bot lane, and Scary Jerry in the top side. So we have our bot lane closer to the objective that we want to play for Dragonsteel. Zyko and Yuji, same brain cell, drop the control words there. Will be enough to start at the Rift. I will say there's no control word now for the pit, unless Spyrex walks over, so that is a little bit of a big deal. We'll have info for Fear Starforge, and Fear Starforge not looking to trade, they're looking to fight.
Oh, Dragonsteel are looking to fight. Cease and desist. Finds a Blaze Olive. A Blaze Olive looking for the shockwave, but he's getting chased by this Vi. Gets the sidestep, but you can't step away from these hands. Yuji will lay down. Blaze Olive is now the Rift Herald still being pulled by Dragonsteel.
Varus ult still available with the hostile takeover for Zyko. We will see if we want anything here for Fear Starforge. Doesn't look to be the case. Actually going to look for a steal. Can W his way back over the wall. Is Rift Herald going over to Dragonsteel, whereas Philip going to take that bot outer turret likely by himself.
You can see some of that setup that really does come from having the Vi on your comp. It means your engage can come out of nowhere at any second, and Blaze Olive definitely did feel that engage coming through. Bot tower not going to fall. Spyrex gets there in time to defend it, but pressure is on. A light breeze could knock it down.
Yeah, it's close. I think Philip getting some free time just getting back in this matchup a little bit. Of course, going for the double scaling items from the look of things. We'll see if it is a Seraph's or a Fimbulwinter. I've seen both on the Gragas. We are big Fimbulwinter fans here. The item is very good if you can get some mana behind it, or some other mana in the build, aka Frozen Heart. But at the moment, I think it looks like because of these rotations, hold on, Instinct.
Instinct use the Feather Storm to get away. Flash going to be utilized. Okay. Look at the Blade Caller and the root. Will avoid death that Scary Jerry was trying to deliver. All the meanwhile, Rift Herald crashes over into that top tower, taking it with ease.
Yeah, it's going to be a double crash, too. Really big here for Dragonsteel. I was trying to set that up before we have the skirmish here.
Look at all the Twitch shatters. Yep. We are the grubbies. We take your base. At least that's how I imagine they sound, unless you got a better...
I mean, I feel like it's a little bit demeaning, the Twitch chatters, but I'm also not against it.
I don't know what it was. It was like Sesame Street or something? Yep.
You kind of put on your minions hat for that, which is a bit Zoomer of you, but I respect it, you know? We need to attract the kiddos to getting interested in League of Legends.
Yeah. This is how we market, man. Now XU. In the river, a little bit of a meeting between XU and Zamudo. Zamudo does have that Trinity Force completed. This is where the side lanes are going to start to get pressured a little bit more and more. Philip has been able to keep up for quite some time, and all the meanwhile, Fear Starforge, their pressure in the mid lane results in a tower.
Yeah, I mean, really strong take. I like the hover from a Blaze Olive. He is dropping a bot lane, but they were able to find a power play and got a flash out of Zyko as well, so flash is missing for the bot lane of Dragonsteel. We'll see if Fierce Starforge can punish it. Keep in mind, they have Wukong Orianna with ults up, and with both flashes being missing, they're going to start the Dragon, and I don't know if it's going to be contested by Dragonsteel. It's just going to be a free take for Fierce Starforge.
The priority on Dragon has been kind of interesting between both of these two teams. I mean, typically, when you look at some of the other teams in the league, Team Liquid is one that stands out. They put a lot of emphasis taking those Dragons, but we've had very late Dragon takes from both Dragonsteel and Fierce Starforge.
Also, the last 2 games, they rolled Cloud into Chemtech into Mountain Soul, so that's a hell of a script. I think the 3 Dragons we've got in the last 2 games have been the same. I will say Cloud and Chemtech means you're probably going to get access to a pretty decent Soul. I got to pause. Fight bot. Xu's here, TP.
Here we go again. Yeah, Xu Cyclone is going to disrupt. Both mid laners go down. Philip arrives. UG looking for Xu. Psycho steps up to find the handshake explosive cast, pulling in the members of Dragonsteel. Philip will not continue for the fight. That's Spyrax down for Blaze Olive mid for mid.
TP's down from the top laners as well, as both Simido and Philip tried to join the fight. There is no turret behind Dragonsteel, but Fierce Starforge are not going to chase. Instead, they're going to take the reset for the rest of the map. Top laner turret might actually... Top laner turret's quite low. There's a pretty big wave in there. See if they're able to fix that, or if that turret does go down to the minions. Okay, should be okay.
Yeah, should be able to save it. XC returning, I mean... Wave, you know, most of it going to go to waste, which is a little sad right there. It is what it is. At least save the tower.
And it's still a pretty even game. I gotta say, actually did burn his flash there, so I think Dragonsteel going 1-for-1 is just a-okay. I'm curious if they look for Wukong in the next engage. So I think if you find Xu at this point, like he's level 10, no ultimate, you can look for a fast fight with Yuji if you are able to just find Wukong. So option that Dragonsteel has as we try and continue these events. Also surprised that we don't have Simido being a little bit more of a dedicated side laner this game, like TPing to some of the fights. I think like with 6 Grubs and Jax, man, if you have the enemy team TPing the fights and you just say, no, I'm not going to join, you can get a little bit of free time and a lot of work done on Jax with 6 Grubs. So I am interested, like, the fact that we haven't really seen Simido be more of a dedicated side laner. So A, little bit of a missed opportunity from Dragonsteel, but B, also showing some of the pressure on this team with the high stakes, right? Just one opportunity where you're not at the fight, if that goes south, can be a game when you have a game being played at this level. So I think we are seeing some pressure on Simido, just feeling like he has to join. I'm curious if that changes later on as Jax gets collapsed.
I mean, for the most part, it's been Philip who's been actively trying to be that side laner a bit more. Even Fierce Starforge have been setting up Philip for the most part. Earlier, the entire jungle camp in the bottom quadrant was painted red with wards. Always going to help out to make sure you're not getting jumped side lanes. But here we go. Speaking of getting jumped, Spyrax onto Xu. Will have to burn his flash to escape.
That is a nice flash take from Fierce Starforge. They can look to punish, but now Xu, no ult. Simido walking down. They're going to power play this turret ABOT ping.
Nice stun right there. There is no Cyclone for Xu. So one of your big engage tools are down. You still have Winsome. You will have his ultimate. Dragon spawns within the next 2 minutes. There's not really too much to fight over in this situation, though.
We're just going to have Yuji try and clean up a camp or two, and then take the resets before Dragon. That's each team kind of playing out. And a bit of a tense game here, Destrux.
Oh, yeah.
We are at 1-1, of course. Winner of this, match point away from qualifying for the live finals of the Riot Games Arena, and also representing NACL with the Tier 2 Americas tournament. So each of our teams playing a rather tense one here. But I think this next Dragon spawn might be where we see things explode, and we get a little bit fiery. As big items coming in, I feel like our team is going to be a lot more likely to fight. Instinct, curiously enough, going for this... Hold on.
Oh, right onto Scary Jerry. So quick was that engage. Snappy from Winsome. Winsome's
down.
Looking to close the distance. Still looking for Scary Jerry. But looking over on the backside. Oh, they will catch him all. And just like that, Scary Jerry's dead. Simple pick for Fierce Starforge.
Yeah, great collapse from Fierce Starforge. They commit to playing through mid, whereas Spyrax and Dragonsteel, they were pushing out bot to secure that outer. It will go down, but Fierce Starforge will fog up into the top river and threaten Baron.
Slight Breeze can knock over that tower, but Fear don't care about that. They care about the purple worm.
Spyrax has TP.
Smudo going on the back end behind the Baron pit. Teleport now coming in. Spyrax will be able to join. This is a very slow Baron, Cubby.
They're going to try and find XU. That control ward's going to help, but XU still has the drop on them. It's curious that he's not there as he's actually going to go. Here we go.
Here comes XU. Yeah, finds the Cyclone. It's only onto Zyko.
Instinct.
Hostile takeover's not there, but here comes Yuji.
Oh, no.
Comes around the back line with Smudo. They're just going to pounce and Goomba stomp all over the place. Dragon Steel. Bring it over to Fear, and ABO gets decked. A double kill for Spyrax. Big blunder by Fear.
Yeah, everything comes falling apart from Fear because Instinct was the one that ends up tanking the Baron on the back half. He got so low from really the prep to find that collapse from XU. And then Spyrax hits a great Fear on the Phillip. That damage carries over, helps take down Instinct. And everything comes crashing down for Fear Starforge as the skirmish, the pick on the Scary Jerry that really started that chain of events, ends up going heavily in Dragonsteel's favor. Yeah, we're going to take another look. Really focus on Instinct and Phillip's health bars here. As Phillip, I mean, he ends up taking quite a bit of Baron damage. I really think what ends up happening, though, is this the combo from Spyrax coming out. You're going to see it connect onto Phillip, who's already at half, and also chunk down Instinct. Really nice from Spyrax there, but keep in mind, Instinct, he's the one tanking the Baron now.
Oh.
So Spyrax pretty much solos out Phillip and Instinct in this fight with the help of the big purple worm. Not a friend of Fear Starforge. And yeah, I mean, your damage, your peel removed, focus easy onto the rest of the members from Dragonsteel. Fear Starforge did not play that turn well, and against our undefeated team in NACL, you cannot make mistakes like that. Punished to the max as Dragonsteel pick up the Baron, pick up the Dragon, and now we're on the push.
I give them credit for setting up the game plan, putting XU over in the back. You know they were looking for that team fight, but just the execution, man. It's a big blunder by Fear Starforge, and now they're losing so much for it. It's a 5k lead over to Dragonsteel, setting up for a siege underneath this tier 2 tower.
And props to Spyrax, too, who, I mean, I really... Oh, hold on. Winston going to get chunked out again. This ability placement from Spyrax in the back half of the game has been fantastic. I mean, to find both the Gragas and the Marksman there in Instinct on that Baron, force all that damage out, was the big difference maker.
And this is the nightmare scenario for Ajax. He can just start wailing away at these towers. So if you leave him alone for a little bit too long, his side landing, it is something that will destroy your base. Still wearing purple as Dragonsteel as they begin to back out of the area. It does look like they want to hover for that tier 2 in the bottom still.
Yeah, just have to be a little bit more careful now. Scary Jerry lost his ultimate, and Spyrax doesn't have his either. So I think they can play this one with time, but the wave clear pretty good from Fear Starforge. We do have a zoom out. Phillip actually TP'd and cut the wave. Quite interesting. As Zimoda's going to TP back, Phillip a little bit in Narnia now, and Yuji should be able to find him pretty easily.
Yeah, this puts Phillip in a terrible situation. I kind of thought it was going to be a pincer coming out from Fear Starforge. Cutting the wave, you're going to sacrifice your life for it and not really get too much on the back half of things. Phillip's dead to rights, and Spyrax takes the kill.
And like Yuji, knowing how dead Phillip was, didn't even pop his ultimate there. So Cease and Desist still available. Now you can really force on a 5v4 if you want to. Spyrax will have access to his ult yet again. So we'll see how aggressively Dragonsteel play. Gotta assume this turret's going to go down to them on this upcoming wave. See if they take anything else after that.
Simple take. There's no more 5v5 for Fear Starforge, so yeah. It's taken down. You can see the Grubbies now coming down. Grubbageddon raining upon Fear Starforge. Next tower under attack. XU instantly gets feared out, and that tower is now gone. XU using the Cyclone to get away. Getting caught by the hostile takeover is Winsome. He will be chipped down. Smudo grabs the kill. And right now, Dragonsteel, they only got 3 simple words to say to Fear Starforge: go to sleep.
I mean, we actually have I'm gonna read out some all chat banner going on.
Please, please. I saw it in prod chat. Bring it up.
Yeah. All right. So here we go. We got Scary Jerry. Nice guys. Good cheese. Can't win lane still. Oh wait. We can't say. Oh, hold on. We got plans.
Not that one. Not that one. Not that one.
No, hold on. We got plans. We got live. Okay, we didn't get permission for this.
We didn't get permission. Never mind.
What?
It's spicy. That's all I gotta know.
Fun. That's no fun. Well, okay. Anyway,
we can paraphrase it.
There's some LCS talk going on, and some. I'd rather never go LCS than have a split like you. To someone in particular who's typing back. It's pretty fun. We like the spice here and challengers.
Let us talk our split, man. Why we gotta have all chat
The nickname's the Salt League, and we can't even share the salt on stream. Bummer. Zyko gets
here we go.
found.
Oh, nice handshake from Zyko. He's still not down. Getting caught out. I mean, explosive cast will catch him. It took an extra ultimate right there. Still a pick for Fierce Starforge.
90 seconds till the Dragon and Baron spawning only a few seconds after, so we'll be double monster objectives on the map. Honestly, not the worst death for Zyko. Not going to lose much from that. Does allow for Fierce Starforge a little bit more time to maybe fix up some of these lanes. Curious enough, I do want to highlight the Stride Breaker being built by Zamudo on this Jax. Will help him stay in range, try and have more uptime in terms of the fight as XU. Good sidestep for him.
He's looking for a turnaround. He has Cyclone available, pops it immediately. Knock up onto Yuji. Yuji's still alive. Chain of Corruption comes out, and now it's Winsome who's caught out. Has to dash out and away, and this means that Dragon still can counter engage cease and desist onto XU, and the monkey's not going to get away from this because there's Zamudo on the opposite side. Came in like a tsunami and splat that man down.
XU will be spawning 7 seconds before Dragon, so if Dragon still want to reset, just take control of that bot side, should be pretty free with that bot inhibitor helping them. Yeah, I don't know. I look again for Fierce Starforge. It feels like with this comp, like, they do have a lot of ways to, you know, press R and get in there, but didn't really see it take off in the mid game the way that we were hoping for. It really felt like Ablazeal was the one who had the lead into Spyrax just from the lane phase, and yeah, just the snowball, not exactly what Fierce Starforge wanted. It feels like both comps trying to do similar things, and Dragonsteel's just been a little bit better at executing. Also, Baron really kind of helped push things in favor, as you can really see the story of that game, this game told by that Baron. Very close one until everything was picked up by Dragonsteel off the back.
We're going to be picked up by Dragonsteel. Dragon has now spawned, and guess who's already there? Right on the respawn, Zamudo.
Bonk, bonk.
Bonk, bonk. Lots of bonks. That's going to be your third Drake. Another Mountain Drake to boot, so getting those defensive stats up. And guess what? Now Baron's up. This map is yours if you're under the team Dragonsteel.
Mountain Dragon, really good pull for Dragonsteel. Very strong Drake, and no pen yet on the Gragas. And we still have pen coming in for both the Orianna and the Xayah, so pretty nice for Dragonsteel. They're just going to start up this Baron. You know, not hot anymore. Will show mid for Starforge. They're wiser to it. They know this one's going on, but we'll see how low it gets before they get the info.
But this is the terrifying thing. If you try and stop it, they're going to engage right on you. The teleport is not coming fast enough. Instinct still alive, though, and Zamudo almost died in the process, lost a lot of health. Here comes Philip on the sidelines. An excellent use of the explosive cast from Big Philip. Instinct rains feathers down. And it's another kill. Yuji falls. Scary Jerry falls. It cost Fear nothing.
It's been Zamudo splitting the map with Gragas trying to neutralize, but Philip, he's the aggressor, as that was an awesome TP and angle coming in from Fierce Starforge. Finds the execute on the Scary Jerry. Ends up helping Fierce Starforge win the fight. That said, with the pressure bot, they have to spend their time fixing the waves, so no pressure on Baron. Put some gold back in their pockets, and a really nice play from Philip.
Excellent play. This is a play that Fierce Starforge have tried, 2 times already in this series, going for these deep flanking moves against Dragonsteel. They're finally able to pull it off. It just took Philip, man. It just took big old Philip.
That is the move. Gragasol can be used really well here to try and split up Dragonsteel. I think that's Fierce Starforge's best chance to win at this point. As we see Zamudo helping reach blue buff for XU. Not going to be able to be yoinked away. But yeah, importantly, also Zamudo, he had a really nice flash there. Did flash out of the shockwave from Ablazeal, but that flash no longer up. So if you were able to stymie Jax and Vi in that front line as the Gragas, by the space that Instinct needs. Instinct did also flash that fight.
Yes.
So we'll see if Dragonsteel, I bet their sights are set onto that Xayah now. So we'll see if Dragonsteel can find Instinct in these, as we posture for the next fight.
Yeah, talking about some of those primary carries, Spyrax and Scary Jerry do have their flashes up, which is going to be a big deal, especially for these later 5v5s. You already mentioned Instinct. ABO does have his. So that's something to watch out for, especially for Instinct, taking out that marksman. Featherstorm can only help you so much.
And see where the gold lead is really on this Jax again. Inhib has spawned in the bot side for Fierce Starforge, so no more super creeps pulling into their base. But you're going to have a Jax pouring into your base pretty soon if it's not dealt with. Philip like the base after that wave. And Winsome is a little bit alone, going to lose his quickness and the flash.
Ouch.
Very expensive escape there for Winsome and Fierce Starforge. Curious how quickly Dragonsteel want to push the pace. Pull up.
And that's a lot lost.
Yeah, they can at least pull ABO's TP, as, yeah, Zamudo's going to TP. And, yeah, ABO has to respond, so...
Zamudo on one end, ABO on the other. 5-member strong, 5v5 around the Baron. 7k health remains on the big purple worm. Zamudo's still setting up over him that try. Philip's going to throw some barrels to try and get him away from that. Now Dragonsteel 5 strong. Same for Fierce Starforge, 6k health. Now on the Baron, 5k health remains. Pulling away is Dragonsteel, and the reset on the health bar channels.
Yeah, they're going to catch mid-high, though. They can transition to bot lane and be first to play there as well. So okay pull from Dragonsteel. Still at least force Fierce Starforge to go elsewhere. So he gets a base cancel. And no Baron going to be started. There is a Mountain Soul on the table for Dragonsteel when this spawns, and that's going to be quite nice for them if they are able to pick that up. So it looks like that's going to be the focus for Dragonsteel.
Mountain Soul giving you a lot of defensive stats for what is essentially a very, very wombo combo, very ultimate dependent team composition that Fear Starforge have drafted. Be nice to stop that initial burst, at least be able to pepper it a bit. But look at this coming out of the monkey right now. A very, very deep control ward place. This tells me that Fierce Starforge, they're looking for these deep teleport flank plays, and they're looking to try and set one up over in the bottom lane if Dragons still start the siege.
I mean, like, the group core for Fierce Starforge, it is so good. Like, if they're stacked up as 5, and if they can find a fight where they're able to split up Dragonsteel, like, again, we killed Varus first in the one winning fight for Fierce Starforge. That was fantastic. But even if you're able to knock Varus back, it could be enough for Fierce Starforge to at least create space for Instinct, who does need it coming in, as Scary Jerry does lose his flash to ABO's ultimate. It's a big tool that's now missing for the Dragon fight.
Don't have that big burst of damage from the Shockwave. Zyko was able to stay alive on top of it, so no kill really acquired. You've got to capitalize by taking down Scary Jerry. You do have some good champions that can get on that back line.
Oh,
Teleport
TP.
now channeled out of Philip. He's going to look for that deep flank.
He's spotted now.
And now Scary Jerry, you gotta be very careful because here comes Philip. Chain of Corruption goes out, it lands on the Philip. So does the explosive cast. Scary Jerry set all over the place, and he can't get the kill in time to be bailed out. But now look at Instinct. We'll use the Blade Caller critically low. Zamudo is ready to bring the bonks and Goomba stomps all over the place onto Fierce Starforge's head. Will chase down the monkey. Leap strike onto the ward. Counter strike being channeled. Doesn't find the stun, but it's a long retreat for Philip and XU. Philip looking for the turnaround. Shockwave comes off cooldown, and ABO gets one back, gets two back. Cincinnati Fear, they're fighting for their lives, and even with the lead, the Reapers stand tall.
XU random on a little bit of a monkey chase, and Ring Around the Rosie ends up being Orianna Shockwave, the circle that punishes them in the end. I still really like the focus from Fierce Starforge to take out Scary Jerry first. They got his flash in mid. They were able to punish that in the back half. As, Crab goes over to Dragonsteel. But, man, the back half of that fight for Fierce Starforge, that Shockwave past level 16 is quite a low cooldown, and the Blaze Olive took full advantage of that. Like, really caught Dragonsteel off guard.
It caught a lot of us off guard. I mean, I want to take a look at the cooldown right now. Yeah, it was on cooldown at this very moment, so it was coming up very, very late into the fight. That's why Dragonsteel just didn't see it coming.
Yeah, I mean, just impossible for Scary Jerry to deal with this here. Nice ult from Instinct to dodge out on at least the ultimate from Spyrax, but Instinct still eats so much damage from the Hui with that slow field being down, the wave clear one. And then, I mean, this fight, it felt like Dragonsteel were going to take it. XU just bought just enough time, and the turn from Philip was fantastic as well. They can't get on the Wukong. Really great turn here from Fierce Starforge as they take down the quality member in Spyrax, and Yuji wasn't able to get that Q off either. Body Slam doing some nice work there for Philip. Good combo with the Shockwave from ABO, and Fierce Starforge still gonna have to survive this Jax onslaught in the side lane that's only gotten better for Zamudo as he continues to stack on the resistances. Now actually has an Abyssal Mask. That's going to be quite nice for Jax. I guess he does have some magic damage in his kit that he is able to increase from that one.
Definitely something, you know. It does enable Spyrax a little bit if want to transfer some of that magic damage over, you know.
Varus as well, not bad. We don't have... I'm curious if it's an Ashes Tooth next for Scary Jerry. I do love my... a little bit of AP ratios on the Varus. Is UG.
UG out of position.
Have to use a good arm.
Body slam over the wall. It's going to be tough for UG to be able to get away. He cannot escape. And here it comes. Hostile takeover landing onto 3, but ABO is here with the shockwave, ready to throw down. Now Spyrex coming out from the sidelines. Has a lot of artillery range to work with, but doesn't have the crowd control to really stop Fear Starforge and turn this around for Dragonsteel. Now it's Fear Starforge out on the map around Baron.
And that's Smite down, and Zumuto has no TP, so that health bar, he's stuck with it. And Fear Starforge, they want to press, at least force Dragonsteel out before they start this Baron.
Be careful right now.
Though. You got to start it. I'd be really surprised they didn't start it. I know their map's a little bit on fire, but again, Zumuto, no TP. Wow, okay, Fear Starforge, they're going to wait for their Rs to be up. I thought with, like, Phillip and ABO having ults, that would be enough to at least slow down the approach from Dragonsteel, especially with a lot of members missing Flash from the last couple of fights. But Fear Starforge, they decided to play cautiously. They're going to fix their waves instead and get back out on the map as 5.
I think some of that comes from the fact that they don't have the best knowledge on the teleports right now, and the wave states are not in the best position.
Yeah.
That means that Zumuto, Spyrax, potentially some side lane shenanigans could have happened while they were going after that Baron. I think that was the big fear for Fear Starforge.
I mean, Zumuto still didn't have TP, and I see a Jax at half health with no Sterax. I feel like that's an opportunity in a 5v4 when you have your 2 ults up. But hey, I will say Fear Starforge, like, we've seen this comp as 5. They're the ones that are really dictating the pace of the game right now. And I think that them finding these engages, these angles, it's kind of on Dragonsteel to slow this down, as they've been using their tools really well. I appreciate the angles that Fear Starforge have been taking, and seeing, you know, Yuji get called out like that, that's pretty uncharacteristic of Yuji. So really well played by Fear Starforge. Another very close game in this best of 5.
And they've been playing with a lot of this team fight, a lot of these flanks. Feels like the strategy is to slow down a lot of these early plays that are coming out from Dragonsteel and 5v5 them later in these scenarios around neutral objectives and such, and scenarios where you can get these deep flanks, these teleports that have been coming out from Phillip, or even just these flanks from XU as a whole. It's really showing that in the team fight situation, this is where Fear Starforge starts to thrive.
And at least this time around, Dragonsteel, they don't have push bot anymore, but they did use it to at least secure this pocket of vision, as Zumuto is going to start the hunt for the Gragas.
There we go again.
And Gragas is spotted there, so really big that Dragonsteel find Phillip early on. Zumuto does have the option to kind of go fight him, as he will win the War of Attrition. So yeah, it's going to happen.
Yeah, you got to do this sooner than later.
Just killing Gragas.
And they want to grab the kill onto Phillip. Phillip doesn't have many ways out. He's looking for the body slam over the wall. Will use the flash to get to safety. Body slam over the other wall. But Spyrax is there. He can put the fear down and slow this spiraling
oh my god,
spare.
the Zhonya's?
Zhonya's going to be used. All the meanwhile, Fear Starforge are able to grab the dragon. Phillip's still alive. Phillip's back with his team. He took the express route and pulled Dragonsteel away. Suddenly, Fear Starforge are looking for a fight. Cyclone goes out, so does the hostile takeover, but that leaves Phillip by himself. He will be the first one to fall in this team fight. Zumuto standing in the sidelines. Derek's going to be burnt away. He has no more shields. He does have the counter strike. Blade Collar not going to find its mark with the Feather Storm, and it's one picked up just barely by Dragonsteel, but Dragon goes over to Fear Starforge.
Good flashes by Dragonsteel that got out of the shockwave, but Fear Starforge, they have positioning on the map, and even down a man, they're going to start this Baron. I don't think Dragonsteel can okay, no, okay, hold on. We're getting a little bit ahead of ourselves here. That was honestly a really tricky situation for Dragonsteel. I'm a bit surprised they got out with, I mean, a kill on Phillip in the end, but nothing else being dealt in terms of damage. Yeah. I think it was really important they dodged out on that shockwave. But a couple flashes used in that fight. Zyko, Spyrax, and Zumuto now all done flash. So the next shockwave that comes in is going to be really tough to deal with, especially if they find Spyrax likely going to be the focus.
It's going to get tense right now. Man, XU has had some words to say over to Yuji about their style of jungling and how different they are. If you were to pull off a steal against Yuji, man, that would be a big exclamation, but fortunately, Dragonsteel are going to peel away from the Baron and not allow that toss-up.
What a hectic game, Dester. I mean, we're 40 minutes in. Tense as all hell. We got both teams sitting at Dragon Soul Point now. Fear Starforge, it really feels like just nitty-gritty fighting for every inch on the map they can find. They're doing a really good job of it, frankly. Into Dragonsteel, this Jax hasn't stretched the map enough to break anything of significance. And we've seen Fear Starforge, if they're grouped up as 5, they've been holding on very strong.
I'm going to start to worry more and more about what Zamudo can do in these side lanes. I mean, we're full build right now. We are ready to take these hands and deliver it onto any side lane and any side laner who decides to step up. And this is why Fierce Starforge are in the position they're in and feel they have to make the plays they're doing. They want to pull Dragonsteel into bad situations where they can find these flanking plays. Thing is, right now, Dragonsteel, it does feel like they're in the driver's seat as they're pushing these waves forward and getting deep vision into the jungle of Fierce Starforge.
And no TP on Zamudo, somewhat abandoned the side lane. We're just going to stay stacked up as 5. Each of our teams opting the 5 stack quite a bit, helping keep this game rather tense. No one really finding a real advantage in the side lane. And yeah, you called it out. I mean, some late items coming out. I do think it's important to point out, we do have a death cap on Ablaze Olive. Yet to find a death cap on Spyrax. Likely to go for that one last. But if these shockwaves connect, they're going to be very big. So really looking to see if Winsome and XU can help set that up, as we have yet to really see a fight where it is that big Orianna snap engage outside that second ultimate that landed in the fight off the body slam from Philip. But you're still looking for those main combos to be the Wukong and the Rakan. And I do want to give some props to Dragonsteel. Have done a nice job of splitting up from that. As this Baron's going to be pulled, Scary Jerry will be on the north side of the fight. Zamudo is flanking, is spotted now.
Spotted out right on top of Ward. The other 4 members of Dragonsteel, 9k health remains on the Baron. It's 5 strong for Fierce Starforge, and remember, they do have 5v5 tools that are huge. Now, explosive cast lands on Zamudo. Zamudo getting crowd controlled up. He's by himself right now. Starrett's going to be burnt out. Yuji, here comes XU. He's looking for the steal. Wants to find it. Who's going to secure it? It goes over to Dragonsteel. And so does the monkey. But it's going to be a trade right now. As XU falls, so does Zamudo. And Dragonsteel don't want to press their luck anymore. They're happy taking the 1-for-1. They got the Baron.
Ablaze Olive did lose his flash. He still has that shockwave up. That was the one ult that was not used in that last fight, as he's really being patient to try and find the right target. I will say most of that fight, it was just them on Zamudo to try and get him out, but wasn't able to get close enough to the pit through the way to actually contest that Baron take. Dragonsteel just win the straight up flip in the 5v5. And that's big, because now you have Baron empowered creeps and a Baron buff to help set up for this Dragon Soul that's up for both teams.
Yeah, Dragon Soul for both teams. That's the very, very important thing to talk about right here. Look at the death timer.
Dragon Steals.
It means that XU is still going to be able to spawn and try and get on the map. But right now, we're so late in the game that that Dragon's not going to be alive for long. And Dragon's still first set up on the river.
This one's a bit of a banger. I mean, XU, he just got out of the gray screen. Zamudo TPing in. XU will be here in time, but I'm curious if Dragonsteel will just try and burst this.
Yeah, just
maybe he's not here in time. Yeah, if they're on it on spawn.
Yeah, go right away, right away. Zamudo putting up the counter strike, trying to play distraction right now.
Okay,
it's going to get taken. Here comes XU. It's going to be a flip. Who's going to be able to secure it once again? Yuji will secure the smite, and XU falls. Fierce Starforge heading for the hills as they run in retreat from Dragonsteel.
The Varus Q brought it down. I think I saw 1196, so a brilliant smite from Yuji as the tip assist from Scary Jerry to make sure that goes over into the hands of Dragonsteel. In this tense game, it's now double monster objectives on the Dragonsteel. Fish misses. Keep in mind, Ablaze Olive, he still has Shockwave up, and we still have Cask up for Philip. Trying to buy time for XU. It's still tough to break the base.
That's a lot of time you gotta buy.
All the wave clear that we have for Fierce Starforge. You gotta imagine they're gonna seed this bot inhibitor, but let's see if they drop anything else.
3 members onto the bot inhibitor. You still have to watch out for that shockwave, and that's why Dragonsteel are pretty spread out right now. Scary Jerry steps up right onto the inhibitor. It's going to fall, but look at Instinct on the back end. Going golden's going to be Spyrax. He's trying to buy time to get out. Flashes right out. Will not be caught. It's Instinct who's far forward and willing to challenge. Goes after Yuji. Will not be able to claim another inhibitor tower is going to fall, and here comes Zamudo. Leap strike onto the ward out of the base, and 2 towers fall. Inhibitor down in the bot lane. Inhibitor exposed in the mid.
But Fierce Starforge, they hold strong, and getting that flash off Spyrax is big. If they find him later on, again, the wombo's really big from Fierce Starforge off the back of this Orianna still. But, I mean, I really feel like Ablaze Olive, like these shockwaves, The one shockwave that we've seen connect to be really impactful was the fight that Fierce Starforge was able to come back into and win pretty convincingly. It feels like Fierce Starforge, like, one or two big things going their way from actually winning the fight against Dragonsteel. And I really feel like a shockwave connecting could be the difference in this game. I mean, respect to Dragonsteel, they flashed a lot of them, but we've yet to see a big one connect. As Instinct, he's got nothing. He's
Instinct's
down
by himself. There's no way he gets out of this. Is it gonna end just like that?
It. Wow.
Dragonsteel marching for the end. Fear, that is the straw that broke the camel's back, Cubby.
That's a huge mistake from Instinct. That feels really bad. Again, he's no flash, no ult. Freebie for Dragonsteel in the mid lane. They don't have the Baron anymore to empower the creeps. Philip's going to do his best to kind of get cheeky as Yuji's hunting him. Blazolve, he might have to ult this next wave. We'll see if it's going to be enough.
Blazolve watching that shockwave oh so closely. It means so much for Fierce Starforge to have another chance to try and come back in this game. Out comes the Chain of Corruptions. ADO's able to outpace it. Philip looking to block. So is XU. Waiting for the shockwave, though. Is it going to come down? It doesn't really land onto anything. And Dragonsteel can continue their march to take game number 3.
I mean, such a tense game to be lost off of just one pick from that onto Xayah. It feels bad for Instinct, but hey, Xayah, like, that arc cooldown's a bit longer than a lot of other things in the game. It was used in the middle of the fight the last time around. That's a great call from Dragonsteel to hunt for it as he was on the mid wave, and really well played in the back half. I mean, again, a really tense back and forth game. But Dragonsteel, like, it just felt like they held on a little bit stronger as 5. They won the 2 flips, and the game went in their favor.
Yeah, which, by the way, credit to the composure of Yuji to land both of those smites was absolutely huge. Dragonsteel, I mean, that was the most competitive game that we really had throughout this series so far. It was very, very back and forth. And if I had to give a player of the game personally for myself, I think those smites were clutch. And I think a lot of the early ganks that Yuji was able to do really brought this forward for Dragonsteel.
I mean, that was a heck of a game, really back and forth. I was surprised at like how much the Jax was grouping still. I really feel like we could have broken the game a little bit further open as Dragonsteel, but I think it really speaks to how tense this game was and how much pressure these teams were feeling. That was really tense back and forth. Had 2 comps that really wanted to execute on R, and Yuji in the end, his spike key ended up being a big difference maker. Like a lot of the direction that we saw from Yuji in that game too. So. A nice player of the game for him. Participated in a lot of the kills, and Dragonsteel end up finding a close one and are now 1 game away from making it to the Riot Games Arena for the NACL Finals and America's Challengers.
America's Challengers, that's going to be a big one. Esports history again. I would love to make that. I can't do it. I'm a caster. They're players, and again, that means so much to what these players are looking to accomplish in their careers in esports. So we're going to throw out a short break. When we return, we'll get ready for game number 4, where things are going to be shaken up a little bit in the Fearless Draft.
Psst. Hey, did you know that kid is vaping the same toxic chemical that's used in taxidermy? Formaldehyde?
Formaldehyde.
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 Dermaldehyde. Formaldehyde.
Formaldehyde.
Formaldehyde. Formaldehyde. Formaldehyde.
Here's a fact that'll stop you in your tracks. Teens who vape can be exposed to toxic chemicals like formaldehyde. Know the real cost.
I'd give the back-to-back to Yuji. In this league, like right now, there's no like really standout player. But I mean, I have to give it to someone on the STL because, you know, they're really having a good regular season split. I just think Yuji, like he just has aura. Like their lanes are always like perma fighting, like really flexing on everyone, and then everyone's just always thinking in the back of their head, like, where's Yuji? Like I'm actually scared, bro.
For me, I'd have to go with Yuji for the back-to-back. I think Maryville is definitely the strongest team this split. Like, everyone knows that, and I think it's right for someone to be on that team. And I think Yuji, strongest champ pool. Almost every game he's playing a carry, and I think this meta right now is kind of centered around jungle. I think laners play around jungle well, and I think Yuji is just like a strong, consistent leader on the team, and easily it's Yuji for the back-to-back.
Probably gonna pick Roamer. I don't think he's peaked yet. Like, he hasn't played Tier 1, I think he's like too good to play in Tier 2. I think he'd be more disciplined if he played LCS. He wouldn't go for as crazy stuff. Probably play tempo more.
If I were to say overall general, I would say Scary Jerry. It's definitely the one that stands out the most when we played against Dragonsteel in the second week after AoE. But overall, in a more specific sense, that a player elevates their team to a higher degree than what you would expect, I would say Toasty Alex from Supernova is a really good candidate as someone who can increase a team's potential, especially when, like, even though they already have great players, Toasty Alex like brings them up to the next level through his communication and his supportive playstyle.
I think the MVP for Summer Split is the Dragonsteel UG because he was the best player on the best performing team. UG was the best player in regular season, and that's just period. Nothing else to say.
I think it's got to be either Surdy or Zamudo. Maybe Surdy because clearly he's proven he's worthy off just solo queue, considering he's 2k LP. And for Zamudo, I think he's on the best team, and clearly, you know, it's clearly for a reason, you know.
I think the easy answer is Surdy. Just knowing him as a person and as a teammate, I feel like he has the competitive drive that some people don't. And I know it's like easy to say, like, oh, he's my roommate and he's my teammate and we won CLOL together, or like he carried me or whatever, but I've never seen the competitive drive that in one person from anyone I've ever met.
My most valuable prospect award would have to go for Yuji. I think he's a very consistent player, like last split and this split too. I think he's always he's a big prospect for his team on like winning games. I think that mid jungle has a lot of synergy, but I think Yuji is really good, yeah.
Hey, did you know that kid is vaping the same toxic chemical that's used in taxidermy? Formaldehyde?
Formaldehyde.
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 Formaldehyde. Formaldehyde.
Formaldehyde.
Formaldehyde. Formaldehyde. Formaldehyde.
Here's a fact that'll stop you in your tracks. Teens who vape can be exposed to toxic chemicals like formaldehyde. Know the real cost. Welcome back, everyone, to the NACL. We are getting ready for game number 4 between Dragonsteel and Fear Starforge. But what a game number 3 it was, Cubby. It was very back and forth, very, very tense. Both teams brought out their game plans, but ultimately it was Dragonsteel who came out victorious.
That was really tense. I'm really surprised at how that game went. I feel like we weren't really seeing Jax on the sideline. Instead, it was Dragonsteel first to a lot of objectives, and then ABO trying to be really patient with the shockwaves, but Dragonsteel matching that patience, not really giving it big windows for a Boyzalv to actually connect with those big Orianna ults. Ended up being a little bit of an awkward game, I gotta say, but in the end, ends up going Dragonsteel's way as their objective control was just a little bit stronger.
As we look over the post-game breakdown presented by The Real Cost, you can see where all that damage got allocated, man. 52k coming out in the mid lane from Spyrax. But was the most impressive thing to me was just the early game decision-making that we had from Dragonsteel as a whole, more specifically Yuji, who was able to find these early picks that got the Dragonsteel wagon going.
Yeah, Yuji, kind of the engine that was starting things up for Dragonsteel. Also, I gotta say that Scary Jerry early on, I thought he did a nice job of ending to at least set Instinct a little bit behind. Instinct did have some pretty solid fights, but yeah, in the end, Dragonsteel makes the difference. I mean, that was a really back and forth game. I'm really interested to go back through that one too, given that there's just, I feel like so many moments that could have went one way or the other if the teams played a little bit differently, but Dragonsteel win the 2 objectives in the end and win the game.
And a reminder, this is match point, which means Dragonsteel are just 1 win away from securing 2 things, technically 3. First of all, being a trip to Los Angeles, the Riot Games Arena, playing in the finals of NACL, and of course the America's Challengers that will feature CBLOL, LATAM, and NACL. They will be the first team qualifying if they're able to take a win right here, right now. Let's start looking at the... go ahead, Gubby.
First team from NACL, we are actually... we have the other 4 representatives already decided as the finals have completed for everything else in terms of who participates in that event. But other things that are decided, ban champs 30 now off the table. Anything played in the any game in this format, that's the one way to ban it. And really curious to see what happens. We don't have a second phase of bans this time, so it's going to be going back to old school drafting where you have a first pick and then you just got to respond. It's response versus response. So we have seen, I will say, some drafts in later games I feel like be very one-sided. So I'm curious to see if some of our teams can avoid those traps in draft and find a good one for themselves.
It's got to be an interesting thing to be a coach doing Fearless, especially since it's so new to the community. Just trying to figure out some of these later drafts. We've already heard some of the strategies that people have done. You've talked about it again and again. Go ahead and let some of those power picks through early so you don't have to deal with them when your drafts start running out in Game 4 and Game 5.
Yeah, like for example, Aurora's banned every game. If you let that through Game 1, I mean, it's a ban that you don't have to worry about for the rest of the game along with the other team. And yeah, I mean, like if you get a situation here, I will say if Fear Starforge, they win this game, Dragonsteel, they're probably going to first pick Aurora on blue side for Game 5. So that is, you know, kind of nice for a little bit of a meta game. You get ahead in the series. Actually, it does matter a lot in Game 5 if you do get access to blue side, because a lot of OPs will be up on the board. Some other champions that have hit the ban list for the vast majority of the series would be Zamudo Zudir. Doesn't get permission to play that one, and also the Nasus still being taken away.
So far pretty standard with some of these bans that we've been seeing. The Talia getting banned away once again.
That's new.
For Dragonsteel, I've been seeing a lot of their games start off very early on. So I want to see what they're going to go for in the draft to keep that type of momentum and keep that type of game plan for their early to mid games.
Yeah, Talia ban. I'm interested to see. Maybe we get like a Triss Lilia set up here for Fear Starforge. Lilia is a champ that's seen really high priority and is still one of the junglers that I feel like is quite dominant that's yet to hit the board. So I wouldn't be surprised to see an early Lilia pick here if Axu and Fierce Starforge won it. But instead, actually going to go for the Azir. That is a big deny pick away from Spyrax as well. No access to Talia, no access to Orianna, and no access to something like Yone that Spyrax really likes playing into that champion that he knows so well.
Curious what the marksman pick is going to be. They did hover Kalista for just a brief second there, but the lock-in for the Azir. Now we're looking at the support over on the side of Dragonsteel. That lock-in's going to be pretty easy. I mean, it's one of the last remaining engaged supports that you have in that Nautilus. Going to be given to Zyko.
We do see support pool narrowed quite a bit in the later stages of these, so Blitzcrank, Thresh still up as your tankier supports if you want to play that. But a lot of the champs that are actually pretty decent in the Kalista are now off the board from the support pool. We could get really funky and have an Enchanter, or maybe it's time for a Senecomp and just try and survive for Fierce Starforge, as that champion has yet to be spotted besides the banned list of last game.
Yeah. And not the biggest Dragonsteel champion. Also not the biggest Fear champion as we've seen so far, because even with this next hover, Instinct is itching to play Aphelios, so that is the lock-in.
Yeah, I'm expecting Thresh now. Winston's Thresh is very good, and you do have some decent interactions with Nautilus. You can, if you play at the right time, then Nautilus isn't in range to follow up with an auto unless he goes Glacial Augment. And you can match that as Thresh too, so that can be quite big. Yeah, curious that ends up being the call. Okay. We have the Skarner. Likely going to be in Axu's hand in the jungle. A champion that we haven't seen a whole lot of yet. We've seen him kind of cropping up later on in some of these best of fives, but I haven't seen Axu get his hands on him. So a very tanky core already in the showing on the top side.
Interesting pick, as they're going to go for double marksman. Smolder now getting locked in for Dragonsteel, so gonna have a little bit of a weak point, but you already have drafted something stronger in the early game for the Kalista to make up for that, to allow the Smolder to scale into the late game and have those stacks.
Yeah, it's not bad for Smolder. Like, you aren't... One of the issues that Smolder can run into is... I feel like it really matters how big your front line is, because Smolder just needs to keep on getting Qs off in a fight and has that bounce, but we also aren't, like, super range-gated here as Smolder when you are going up against Azir plus Aphelios. Still, I fear Starforge with that Smolder showing. A little bit more onus on them to play fast. And I like the idea of the Kalista Nautilus to try and bridge to the Smolder later on. Also, I just want to highlight, we haven't seen some Smolder top get played, so technically this is a bit of a flex. And Dragonsteel, they can just lock in response to the Skarner in the jungle here and maintain that flex for the last pick of draft.
So here's where things start to change up. We alluded to it earlier. There are no bans in the second phase of draft.
Yes.
That is the way Fearless is working right now. So that is why we were just speeding through the timer right there. Last one's going to tick away. You're not going to see anything there. So that's the big change up for this game 4.
Really? I thought these guys were just asleep.
Yeah, they're just chilling, you know? You got
chilling.
everyone in the area together, you know, just take a quick moment. Throw down. We're going to go lift some weights if you're Maryville. Pre-game pump.
I mean, they like their pre-game rock climbing, I'm sure, over there, or running. That has been the obsession. I will say, I like Lilia with the Smolder and Kalista. I feel like Lilia actually is pretty strong here, but they really need a tanky frontliner if they do want to go for something like Brand or Lilia. I honestly would like Brand because I feel like he has a stronger opening to the fight, and if he gets picked, he can still just, you know, if you get one round of cooldowns off, that sometimes is enough damage to carry you through. So my one concern though is, like, I feel like Smolder really scales with how much health you have and how much frontline you have, because you have to be able to fire off those Qs and then get the burn rolling for Smolder to truly be effective. And at the moment, that Skarner showing, you're going to have a bigger frontline for Fear Starforge. So really interested to see what Zamido's pick is in the top lane.
Here comes the next pick for Fear Starforge. Hovering over that Thresh that you were talking about is a decent answer, but Milio is another one you can go for right here.
I kind of like the Milio. We already have Engage showing. And Milio, like with Aphelios, this is a really strong combo between the two. We actually kind of fix some of the range issues that Aphelios can have by giving him a little bit more chances to interact with Smolder and Kalista. And I do like this idea a lot from Philip, taking the Scion. You can lane swap now, and that does take away, like, I think one of the big tanks that Zamudo might have even been looking for in this draft. So curious what Zamudo opts for into Scion now, as I like the Set matchup. I will say, like, high key Set, I don't love this champion, but I think Set's actually playable this game. It's hard in the Milio. Oh, wait. Oh, it's going to be Cho'Gath. It's going to be Cho'Gath.
I was thinking about that. Yep.
Oh.
It's something we've seen him play in the regular season. It's a pocket pick that he's pulled out before, and he's looked so damn good on it as well.
It has been quite good. This Milio, though, throws a nice wrench into things for Fierce Starforge, and also when you have something like a Scion, you have the option to really throw a weird level 1 at Dragonsteel, which I think could be really useful for Fierce Starforge. Getting a Phelios Milio outside of those first couple of levels that are not good for them in this lane, and trying to use some sort of Scion cheese, which is always really, really good if you're able to pull it off, whether it's dying to a buff and denying it, or, you know, helping your jungler clear first 3 camps and going for a dive where the Scion can die and then just TP right back to whatever they needed to be at afterwards.
And now, talking a little bit more about this Cho'Gath, I do know Zamudo likes to play his Cho'Gath a very certain way. He will not level the silence. He'll just go exclusively for the Q and the E, and he's looking to just maximize the damage and maximize the slow and kind of hunt you down with that.
Yeah.
Because the silence doesn't give you that much if you're trying to just take the 1v1s.
Well, we'll see. In this case, it gives you a little bit, because you can cancel Scion's Q.
That's true, yeah.
Or at least reset it a little bit. It goes on a low cooldown, but yeah, Zamudo, the one time we saw him play the Cho'Gath, it was into a Jax, and he absolutely popped off the game. He went Triforce Cho'Gath. It was a lot of fun.
Now, as we head on to the Rift, Fear X Starforge, Dragonsteel, match point. Dragonsteel take this. They get a ticket to Los Angeles. They get a ticket to Sao Paulo. It's a big win for them to make that esports history. Fear Starforge trying to take this to a Game 5.
Oh, with how slow that last game is, we do have some Gathering Storms for Fear Starforge on their carries. This one goes late. I mean, they are into a Smolder. But we'll see what ends up happening, as Fear Starforge did talk about level 1 at the moment. Philip, and actually showing out a ward, it's going to give Dragonsteel a lot of information, as it looks like it's going to be a delayed topside invade and a lane swap from Fear Starforge. You can see Zyko and Scary Jerry actually posturing to match, so interesting. If Fear Starforge walk in here, they're going to walk into 4.
This is tense now. You're waiting for the
not
spawn
good
of the
for Fear
camp.
Starforge.
XU's headed that way. Yeah, they're walking straight into 4. It's going to be a 2v4. Here comes the hook. It's going to land right onto Philip, and he will be the first one to fall. Even with that knockup, it means nothing. First blood for Scary Jerry.
It's a disaster. Not only does Philip go down, but now you have the lane that you want as Dragonsteel. Okay, hold on. We had to pause there for a second. If that went down, that would have been crazy. But you have the lane that you want now for Dragonsteel, having the Callista and Nautilus playing into this Milio and Aphelios is you can, you know, if you find hooks, you can pressure early. If this lane does get levels, the Aphelios Milio very much favored later on. We need help for Callista and Nautilus to, you know, make things happen. So we do see XU actually take blue buff, and he's going to cross into Yuji.
Oh. Might be a level advantage coming in right soon, or just going outright for the kill. Spyrax in the mid lane has to flash away from XU. Get away from that Scorpion. I hate bugs.
Yeah, I thought we were going to get across to maybe contest a camp from Yuji, as XU did have Smite up and Yuji was low. Not the case, though. Just get a flash out of mid, which can be very favorable for a Blaze Olive later on. As unfortunately, we have a pause. We'll have some info for you soon as to what's going on.
Yeah, it happens. It happens. That's kind of the part of remote play. Sometimes these technical difficulties do pop up, but don't worry. We will get that situated. As far as we know, it's just a player lagging, so they were starting their PC. They will be able to rejoin. But what a series this has been between our seed number 1 and our seed number 2 team. I think your Starforge, this is one of the better rosters, especially thinking about the preseason, thinking back to all that. Like, the first time we ever saw Fear Starforge, it was summer of 22. That was the Proving Grounds era. And ever since, they've always fielded these like fan favorite teams that I really like to watch, like Dragoon, Shochi, Toasty. They've all been a part of Fear at some point. This current one kind of follows that trend with XU. I think he's an easy to love jungler to watch. But man, the talent that they've actually put around pretty much the entire field. As you had said multiple times, Cubby, LCS experience on each and every one of these members.
Yeah, and it'd be a hell of a redemption arc for all of them to, you know, not have success in LCS to varying degrees. So I'm throwing in some really tough situations, like notably I think Philip and Instinct just weren't ready for LCS when they went up there, but they were needed by the team. man, like for them to go international, it would really be a big win for a lot of the players, especially like XU. Again, talking to him, he's like, hey, that'd be incredible. He's like, this split's been a blur. I spent like the first half of it like, oh my god, I'm not in LCS anymore. I got kicked. And then in the middle of the split, he's like, man, like, am I ever going to be able to actually get back to that level? So for him to be able to go to Sao Paulo with this team that he opted to play on, is worked really hard with, and they look damn good. That'd be a big win for him. Someone that, when he was on that stage, he didn't get all the opportunities that he wanted to. So to have more opportunities like that would be really big for him. And everyone else on this roster is kind of in the same boat.
Oh, yeah. Instinct, for example. I do remember his time in the revolving door. That was TSM. And had to go over to FlyFam, which that was a rough split, to say the least. It left me really wondering for the longest time just how good Instinct really was. Is this man actually ELO held? I feel like with Fear and Starforge, he's been able to really show up, setting a good pace. You'd mentioned it before, especially around team fights where we start to see him shine the most. It's kind of a nice story for the entirety of Fear, who, we always talk about Tier 2 and how it's not just for newer players, it's for also veteran players to reestablish themselves to make it back into the LCS.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen that with Dokla, Zeyzal, who I know Shopify Rebellion didn't have the split they wanted, but I still think pretty highly of Zeyzal, and a lot of other players. So, I mean, again, this is where you try and get the best competition you can. The fact that we have some players with LCS experience come in, it does help kind of grow the level of everyone. And we have some really good, talented young players, too, that are pushing these guys. Like, I think notably, shout out to Scary Jerry and Zyko, who, again, find themselves in a position where they're towards the top of the league and even stronger this time around. Players that haven't been able to hit the LCS stage yet. The fact they're able to contest with everyone that we have in the league and beat the vast majority of them, as Dragonsteel's done all split, it is a really good sign. And I feel like Challengers League, just overall this split, we've had a higher level of play and competition. I think the Fear Starforge roster, like 4 out of 5 of these guys didn't compete in spring. Now they're top 2, top 3 in summer in terms of team strength. I really do feel like they help up the level of the league. And it's been good to see players respond to that too.
And it's been good seeing our newer players, our rookie players, growing from that and really putting on some pretty good displays. I always point over to Scary Jerry, most improved from last split and still showing that growth. Same thing with Zyko. I mean, talking about last split, even bringing that up to the conversation, spring finals, we mentioned it, 0-3 for Maryville against FlyQuest. That hurts. That really sucks. And when I talked to Zyko, he said, man, I put a lot of the blame on myself. I felt like I choked during that. And when I asked, well, are things going to be different this time around? He says, yeah, I feel way more confident, and I feel like I can be the difference maker.
Well, see if he can be the difference maker in making sure they get an opportunity to play in finals yet again, and that is what a win would do here for... Oh, hold on, we got a replay. I didn't think any blood went down in this play. Looks like we had a bit of a burn as we're just catching up. Yeah, what happened from the last couple of plays from our observers, if you are just joining us, this is a Game 4. Dragonsteel with a victory would qualify the Riot Games Arena to participate in the NACL Finals and would book their tickets to Sao Paulo in the America's Challengers Tournament.
Oh, and we keep forgetting one more thing, the tweet. Fear win, Brandon Sanderson has to send some signed books over to Fear.
Big time.
If Dragonsteel win, then Starforge Systems have to send a computer to Dragonsteel.
Some new books too. If knowledge serves correct. I'm not super familiar with all the lore and like when he's releasing new stuff, but I did have some announcements today. So if you are a fan, definitely go check that out.
Cubby, I always feel bad when you try and talk about stuff like this, because when we talk about like Warhammer and other nerdy stuff, you just call us nerds.
Yeah, I'm admitting I'm not caught up. I didn't call anyone nerds. People are reading, man. We're pro reading. My mom is a reading specialist. All right.
Let me just out you. Out you, man. I'm trying to shame you for all the times you've called us that.
All right. Well, that's fine. At the moment, Zamudo shaming Philip in the bot side. As I will say, Shogath did get ahead off that swap. You can see Zamudo way up right now in creeps. And Shogath in this matchup against Sion, you are the tank that is anti-tank. You just win and win harder thanks to your E. And some of that tech that you highlighted, Desrux, you can see right now with Zamudo how he's skilled. 2 points in Q, 3 in the E. So yeah, no skill on the W quite yet.
And it can surprise you. Last time we saw it, it was very surprising. There were solo kills that were coming out that no one was really expecting, and that's what happens when you...
The Triforce is wild.
Yeah, that's what happens when you don't see these champions that often. You don't exactly know the limits of them.
Well, Zumuno, he knows the limits of this Cho'Gath and that Giant's Belt. I think in the tank v tank matchup, you go Heartsteel, and whoever gets to Heartsteel first, they just start winning harder. So Zumuno, he's ahead of curve on that one, and again, really good interactions for Cho'Gath in this matchup. I think the Zumuno, he's really going to take control, and Sion can't do much in lane, has to look for advantages out of lane.
One place Fear can try and establish some control is going to be towards the mid lane. Earlier, Spyrax did burn Flash, and you can see right now XU is trying to apply pressure over to this mid lane. All the meanwhile, he does have the protection of Yuji in the back pocket. He's currently grabbing the Drake.
Yeah, early Drake timer taken by Yuji. Again, we saw the swap for Dragonsteel as Fear Starforge. They sent the Sion top with a TP. The fact that he TP'd up there, it allowed Dragonsteel to select these lanes yet again when they redeployed. And I believe these are the lanes they still want at this point in time, especially just given how far up Zumuno is on the Sion. Does have a chance here to solo kill. He's going to hit the next Q.
Yeah, he has the execute right now.
Yeah, execute's
so you need
coming.
that to land, and yeah, there it is. It's coming through. Philip feels pressured. He's going to be able to put down the decimating smash to buy some time for XU to arrive. Now, this should be the end of Zumuno unless we get some backup.
He's hiding.
Yuji's are off.
Oh no.
Now Zumuno,
he's dead.
He's dead to rights. With the Q not landing, no rupture. There's no way he's getting out of this. Flash forward coming out from XU. And Philip will just kick a minion onto him.
Yeah, and meanwhile, Yuji was like, hey man, you're just a tank. I'm going to leave you to your own devices. We need to take the team objective in the grubs. So Zumuno goes down, doesn't have TP, and Yuji was just ignoring him. Taking the team objective in the grubs. Now we have a potential engage bot side. Psycho's gonna flash.
I could help, but I have my priorities. With the fight in the bot lane, instincts in a bad way, those spears start to add up. A nice hook from Psycho condemns Instinct to death. Scary Jerry wants another, will not find it into Winsome, but the bot lane, I keep telling you, man, this is where they find their kills in the 2v2. Scary Jerry presses the advantage.
Oh, we're gonna get a replay mid too. Looks like Smolder, no flash. ABO finds the scoop. Smolder does have the R. And yeah, that was enough to live. ABO, no more mana, so Spyrax able to slink on out of there. Advantages everywhere for Dragonsteel. Top lane going to be a little bit more even. But still, I do favor Zumuno in this one. Heartsteel on the Cho'Gath's very big. And really good kills to set this Aphelios Milio behind. As if these guys get going, you can really press your advantage with the Milio. But at the moment, the Callista Auto is keeping them on the back foot. Dragonsteel needs to find leads and kills in that lane early, and they've done so. So far, things looking real good for Dragonsteel.
It's name of game for Callista. Early advantages, keep pressing them. Scary Jerry, he's no stranger to that. Wants to fight, wants to be that ruthless killer. We'll be able to net that up. At the same time, hitting level 6 over in the bottom lane. You can see members of Dragonsteel kind of getting control of that bottom quadrant of the jungle. Zyko looks for an angle, but has to deal with Winsome all the meanwhile.
Yuji will be spotted, so Fear Starforge not going to overextend here. Also have XU hovering in wait. That is not known by Dragonsteel, but Yuji should be able to just continue power farming. I mean, that's the other setup that's so good. Like right now, the lanes are so good for Dragonsteel. Like the one lane that's actually kind of been in control of Fear Starforge is the Boy's Olive, and even he's just even. This brand, like we're at the point where next base afterwards, he's going to start really ramping up the damage, can really nuke these camps, and try and continue to at least get a resource advantage against XU in the jungle.
Here, Jerry setting up in the tri-bush. A little bit of a menace right there. All the meanwhile, Yuji is pathing over towards the top side. We still got a minute 40 before Dragon does come up. This was one of the earlier Dragons that we've seen taken. Dragon stacking hasn't really been the focus of either of these teams, but now that Yuji's on this brand, soloed it right from the get-go, so should be a point of contention.
Zumuno with that W. He actually can't stop the... Oh, nice sidestep by Philip. Hold on.
Yeah, this is going to get pretty bad for Zumuno real quick as Philip sees the pocket pick and smashes down onto it with his axe.
I mean, no point in W. If you're going to use your Q on the wave, you have no way to interrupt the charge from Sion. So Philip ends up finding a pretty big solo kill. And, I mean, I don't think that should really be happening in this this scenario. Zamudo can kind of wait for that lane to come back to him, but by forcing the issue against Philip, he goes down, and yeah, Zamudo's gonna have to TP back.
That's gonna hurt. Said earlier,
Not
it's
great.
supposed to be the other way around, where Philip hasn't played against this often, and he's the one that's gonna be unfamiliar. Nope, it's Zamudo who kind of bites off more than he can chew, quite literally to that regard.
Nice.
And, Philip 2-0 up early in the solo lane.
Looks like he. Okay, yeah. Now we have a point in W. Yeah, I mean, I'm surprised that we didn't see that earlier from Zamudo once we get in the 1v1, but of course Zamudo always has his tech and will at least find a demolish proc. Still has no flash though, and XU is actually going to look for him. Nancy goes down again.
You get one more plate on the way out. Yeah. Okay, there we go. Yeah. It does get claimed 2 plates going over to Zamudo. XU's not fast enough to start reaping havoc.
Doesn't want to look for it instead. Looks like he might be mid the matchup. Potential play coming in from Dragonsteel.
You got Zyko and Yuji in the back pocket, so
Might
Spyrex
be a
can
trade
retreat
here.
to them.
Yeah. It's a trade, Deserex. It's boring. We got the split cam.
Let's trade.
Yeah.
Trading Pokemon cards, you know?
3 grubs match for Fear Star Forge. 2 dragons, though, for Dragonsteel. They're going to take
go
that
in on
one.
that one? I have to say
trade.
Yu-Gi-Oh cards. Would Yu-Gi-Oh cards work? Because, Kangas...
I was not a card collector. I collected baseball cards.
Baseball cards?
Yeah. Not
Nerd.
Not yeah, it's still pretty nerdy. Not as, not as fun.
Yuji with the Chase Londo Blaze Olive means the Flash is now burnt. Mid laner is going to be down. Flashes as the ultimate gets popped on the Yuji. Blaze Olive takes him down, but not without his own life being forfeit to Spyrax.
All right, 1 for 1. I think that's fine. Like Spyrax, he got the kill, and he can TP back and continue to shove in this lane. Dragonsteel, I mean, still kind of chilling. All they have to do is just hold the front line later on in this one. Zamudo actually did go. I said Heartsteel in the tank v tank matchup. Did go for the Warmog, so can step away and regen health now at any point. But yeah, I'm still kind of surprised we didn't get Heartsteel from Shogat. I do like that in the tank v tank matchup. You just get a lot of chances to kind of stack that one up.
Appears to me that Zamudo just wants to stay into lane more than anything else. So I'm that Warmog's early. You can see right now the Demolish stacks are doing a lot of work. Every time that proc's able to come up, it's a huge chunk. You still got 2 more minutes to work with, so more plates for Zamudo to grab.
Yeah, I mean, I really appreciate the Shogath pick. Like, we have seen some roles have to get creative with a lot of the main champs being taken off the board. Again, needed frontline, and Shogath really being the tank that counters tanks. I do really like this matchup in the Scion. A lot of interactions that you like as Shogath. Still, he's going to have to be the one later on to really tank these Scion ults. So we want to see if that is doable. Yeah, it's got to be him or Zyko, who also can tank it, just given that he has Bliss in his back pocket too. So, eating Scion and then getting Ard back in does feel pretty good.
By the way, the race for Heartsteel that you were talking about ended up being a race for Warmogs.
I know, it
XU
didn't
who ended up
exist.
grabbing the
I'm bummed.
Heartsteel at the end of the day.
What is this? We're in a wet noodle fight? You don't want a Heartsteel to just free stack health on?
Yeah. Come on. I mean, look at this. Health bars aren't moving. They're just slowly nudging to the opposite end. Get the Heartsteels.
Silence him. Yeah, cancel those Qs.
Knock that man in the air. All right, Fear Starforge going into their own jungle right now because Dragonsteel is in it, but Zamudo is still just being an absolute menace. This is what you like to see from a Cho'Gath.
Yeah, Warmogs will, of course, help keep each of these characters topped off, but you can't see, like, War of Attrition with the Cho'Gath, the E, some of that % health damage coming in. It actually is really big in this matchup against the Scion, but look, we're all back, and the wet noodle fight can start again, but oh boy, we have some fire,
Got more
some
challengers.
spice potential. Okay, no, never mind. Philip just holds the wave, it's chill.
Oh, please, please.
Why are we
no
watching
more.
this? Get us out! What did we do to you, observers? Thank you! It is kind of entertaining, but only for a little bit, you know?
No, I'm still entertained.
Oh, y'all.
Still entertained. We can just keep the camera on the top side. No,
Oh, no.
we can't because it's a fight. And there's a poor little baby dragon out of place. Blaze Olive will be able to take that kill, take him down. Fear Starforge get a kill lead.
Nice ult from a Blaze Olive. Flash
All right, now
from
back to the top
Spyrax.
lane.
So we'll get some yoinks back in with the Emperor's Vow. Okay, we can look at top lane for this. This is an objective being taken. Do we give Zamudo a stack? Does he feast it?
Yep.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Nice. Love it. Meanwhile, Aboyzalov, again, Grubs were split, so some free time for Azir in the bot lane. Always going to be good. As Azir with the Nashor's too, especially early on, you can really pressure turrets in early in the game. So I do like the focus from Fierce Starforge here. Make sure that Aboyzalov gets free time, and never mind, he's gonna reset instead. I thought he could have free hit that one a little bit, but doesn't want to be vulnerable to potential plays coming in from Dragonsteel.
Oh, the camera was about to take us topside once more. That's level 11 now for Zamudo, so he will have his second level ult. That true damage will begin to add up and continue that
he is going for the
anti-tanking.
Triforce. It is going to be Triforce on this Cho'Gath. A favorite.
No heart stills allowed, man.
Yeah, I mean this is a build. You know, I do appreciate it from Zamudo. Hey, Cho'Gath, you know, a lot of ways to proc. You got to auto. You got some ways to proc Sheen. You know, some little cooldowns on the Q. Q's a pretty awesome ability for Cho'Gath.
It's a pretty short cooldown.
Yeah, am I convincing you, SRX?
You're convincing me. You're convincing me.
I feel like Zamudo's last game is enough to convince. Again, he played Cho'Gath in the Jax and like absolutely nailed the pick. It was quite a fun VOD to go through. Let's fill up. Yuji is lying in wait. Fear Starforge do not know.
All right, here we go. Engage onto Philip, followed by the knockup from the Rupture. He's silenced. He finally flashes out. They needed a cleanse just to save this man. Here comes Mom. Doesn't get onto Philip. Philip's still going to be okay, but not Instinct, who almost gets devoured by Zamudo. Somehow Fear keep their hands attached to their necks, but ABO looking to swoop them up and slam them down with the alley-oop. Two fall, and Fear Starforge bounce back.
I mean, the health bars, they're in favor of Dragonsteel, but Fierce Starforge, they're the ones walking away with 2 kills thanks to ABO sending it at the end. Big find for him and Fierce Starforge, as that fight from Dragonsteel, you can't see some of the value of Brand, just that bouncing damage, even when Skarner is able to pull them into the team. Brand got so much done, but it's not going to be enough. They're forced off the Dragon. Fierce Starforge stays strong as 5 and are going to get an objective for themselves in another Mountain Soul game.
Yeah, ABO is looking to be the MVP of this entire series, man, because there's so many times where we're like, Fear is done, and suddenly he turns it back for them. Dragon now going to be secured. That stops the Dragon stacking, going to slow that down for Dragonsteel. Still mid lane tower that's going to get demolished in the process. Still gold lead to Dragonsteel.
We will see if ABO can do this, though, for the duration of the game, because we did see, those Orianna shockwaves were played around really nicely by Dragonsteel, but I think there could have been more aggression from ABO about how we use them. So, love to see it there at the back half of the team fight. Finding his moment, finding 2 kills for his team. And now, we'll see what we can do as some of the items coming in. It's going to be pretty much a 2-threat comp for Fierce Starforge. It's all about how much can you peel for this Azir, for this Aphelios with Emilio, helping them from behind. And I gotta say, this is where I think Brand's just so valuable this game into these tanks. Like, the amount of damage that Brand's going to do into the Scion Skarner and just being able to bounce throughout the fight. I really like Brand and the Emilio. One of my favorite counter to the Emilio lane was actually playing Brand Nami and just destroying it early on. I feel like you have ways to actually at least do damage to the front line and get through them as Dragonsteel. So Yuji could be really big on that threat.
A lot of percentage health damage. I mean, Liandry was the first thing that Yuji picked, so tanks are going to be eaten alive by this Brand. And what's also very nice about just having the Brand is how much splash damage, how much zone control you get from that damage. The passive can sometimes just make it impossible to actually group up without sacrificing some more of your health, more of your team. Once again, more wet noodles over there. Bot lane in the mid lane, however, it's Psycho caught out by himself, so there's no way out. Trapped with Fierce Starforge.
It's called just coming off cooldown now for Scary Jerry, so didn't have that available to get Psycho out. Sat on the flash too. He knew his fate. Fierce Starforge looking for a power play in mid. But Smolder ult going to help, and some wave clear from Brand also not bad there.
Okay, Zamudo.
Yeah.
All right, he's just chilling now. To the point where Philip really can't do much if Zamudo wants a tower. Like, yeah, you're going to hit him, but you're not going to damage the man. So Fierce Starforge, they focus their attention onto the bottom lane as
EP.
XU jumps in,
Oh,
gets
no.
stunned up right away. Scary Jerry looking to escape from this, but he gets pulled in by the ultimate. Ultimately, the Scorpion will fall. The scoop not going to be found as Yuji's able to flash out in time. Blaze Olive's dead. Samudo will arrive and go after Instinct, knock him up with a rupture on the sideline. Spyrax shows up and will bring the pain, bring the hurt, bring the burn. It's a big Scion, but eventually with enough autos, you will chip down that wall. Zyko, close to falling in the process, will be able to leave with his life as an ace is found by Dragonsteel.
Yuji was the big difference maker in that fight as the stun onto XU to start. And then the ult follow, also escaping ABO's combo. Keep your eyes on Yuji in this replay, as it's a decent idea from Fierce Starforge, but the TP comes in. Yes, they kill the turret, but that stun on XU was fantastic. Now the R bouncing throughout the fight. Scary Jerry was able to escape, and then this is where Yuji gets to show off some of those hands. The flash over the Emperor's Divide from ABO, dishing the damage back out. Yuji was fantastic in that fight on the Brandon, was the big difference maker in helping Dragonsteel come out on top.
Yeah, Yuji looking absolutely immaculate. This was our most valuable prospect from spring. He's so damn good. He's in the nomination for this summer as well. Could be the first ever back-to-back most valuable prospect. With plays like that, it's easy to see why.
Well, you know, it's a regular season award, Desrex, but we like to see him performing in playoffs as Dragonsteel
Regular
taking...
season, it's 9-0 in the regular season, Cubby. I can gas him up as much as I want.
All right, that's fair. We're going to keep up gassing up Dragonsteel too, who, again, if they win this game, book their tickets to LA in the Riot Games Arena. Book their tickets to Sao Paulo in the Americas Challengers Tournament. And Yuji, I mean, coming up so big in that fight. He's yet to base, too. Is going to likely have a Rylai's that can really stymie some of Fierce Starforge trying to overwhelm Dragonsteel in this game as we carry on. Really like where Dragonsteel's at in the game at the moment. And it's funny because actually, you know, kind of talked about Yuji. Thought he was a systems jungler. Could kind of pick better spots than Yuji. That spot right there that he picked, that's the wrong spot at the wrong time. And Yuji, he really made his money this split, playing the champions that make a lot of money in the jungle and those AP carries. The Brand, the Zyro were so big for Yuji this split. And Yuji being where he's at in this game, the Rylai's completed. He's going to be massive at this upcoming Dragon fight.
Spyrax showing up in the bot lane to catch this wave, but yeah, Yuji absolutely massive. Niles had spoken before that he believes 3 things are needed to be an MVP. Unshakable confidence, great mechanics, and a large champion pool. Believes Yuji has all of that and more.
Yeah.
That's why he's looking so good right now.
We are at 4th Dragon, Smolder, Shack, 200 for Spyrax, who does not have the evolve quite yet. I think when that comes in, I mean, going to be more good stuff here for Dragonsteel. But Dragonsteel a little bit cautious in how they're taking control over this river as Wazov trying to keep them at bay, and they've yet to find their way into this mid lane embankment brush. So Fierce Starforge doing a nice job of holding the line here.
I'm noticing that Spyrax is getting rather close to that execute. 205 stacks so far.
Yep.
There's a couple more. Fierce Starforge are quick to get on this dragon. They don't want to give time for Spyrax to get more scaling. Knockup lands on Zamudo, but here's the front line. It's Zyko facing off with Philip. Zamudo's taking a lot of damage in the back half as Mom comes down. Zamudo has to flash away. Here comes XU. He's looking to pop the ultimate. He loses a lot of health in the process. He runs over to the dragon but falls. 1-for-1 trait thus far. A Blaze Olive flashes out. Spyrax is after him. Emperor's Divide able to shove one away, but the long chase coming out from Spyrax needs one more pop. Can't claim it just yet. 1,500 health remains on the dragon. Over the wall comes Spyrax and it is secured. Dragon still get the dragon. Spyrax, yeah, you want one dragon, you're not going to get the baby dragon fill up. Spyrax will get out.
And Spyrax just 3 stacks away from the 225. Dragonsteel sitting at soul point and 3k. They're really going to be favored throughout the rest of this one as this slower fight. You got a couple of tanky comps here. Took a while to bust out. And the focus on Zamudo was quite good early on. But Axu going in here pretty much trades himself out for the Cho'Gath as he ends up going down. Flash to the dragon doesn't get him out in time. And then Ablaze Olive ends up being the focus. A nice flash away from Zyko. But he's forced out of the fight by the remaining 3 members of Dragonsteel. Fierce Starforge didn't really get much while everyone was focusing down on ABO. They were focused on the dragon and ends up getting yoinked in the end. As XU was down, Yuji was up, and we have more action on the screen. Winsome does eat a depth charge, has to flash away.
Dragon Soul point was secured from that last one, so we got 4 minutes before it's another Mountain Soul that Dragon Steel can potentially go for. But you can see the way they're utilizing the advantages they got from that last team fight. A lot of that vision getting pushed deeper and deeper into Fear Starforge's jungle.
And this series getting closer and closer to being wrapped up. Again, Smolder has access to the execute now. We'll just be scaling up those stacks with the burn. So it's funny. I feel like the Ivern game, Smolder was really missing for Dragonsteel. That was banned in the second phase by Fear Starforge. But the fact that it shows its face now will be a big difference. Is in this series we've seen games go a little bit later, and that has been favorable so far. 1 game each. Fear Starforge, they took game 2. Dragonsteel took game 3, and of course trying to take game 4. But funny seeing some of the Gathering Storms be picked up by Fear Starforge too, just knowing that we've seen some slower games in this series, Deserex.
Fear have been good at slowing this down and fighting to their vibe of a 5v5 in the late game. Because now, as Dragonsteel are looking for an answer to that, seems they're starting to find it. More wet noodle fights going on in the bottom lane, all meanwhile. Watching those stacks on the Smolder, 242, we've hit that execution point.
Nice ward that Yuji and Zyko are on right now that's not spotted by Dragonsteel. They have a control ward on that brush, so they think they're hidden in vision. But I don't think there's anything from Fear Starforge that can pull the trigger on this. Philip wants to sign all through the wave, which he does.
Well, Philip
interesting.
Steps up but cancels it a little bit early. Now Zamudo channeling his teleport. It does get out the teleport of Zamudo, so it's something won for Fear Starforge.
Yeah, that was enough to dissuade Philip from entering the other side of the mid lane and banking the brush. Now Dragonsteel will retreat into their control wards. Yuji, again, the damage that this brand's going to do to the tanks, the front line, will be significant.
They still don't know that ward's there, though.
Yeah, it's big.
Yeah, and this is what's allowing Fear to have some safety approaching this push right now. Spyrax over on the opposite side, walking with the rest of Dragonsteel. Zamudo separating from the team alongside Philip, who are continuing their wet noodle fight. Looks like a fight might break out at any second right now. Hook comes in, it lands onto XU. XU caught by the depth charge, a lot of damage coming through! And Scary Jerry eats some for dinner!
And Zamudo has Mog, so they can just retreat to the Baron and try and keep on scaling. Oh, Yuji!
Oh, Yuji goes in, throws down the ultimate. Look at him bounce around and pop the Milio. Dragonsteel want more, though. They are bloodthirsty. Zyko will get a max range hook. It's a complete ace. Hail to the Kings. Dragonsteel take the fight.
I thought they were going Baron. Yuji was going for the throat. That flash in from the brand, the combo was massive. ABO couldn't respond with an Emperor's Divide. As a huge play from Yuji. Yet again, we talked about how valuable this brand was going to be in this comp. Like, Brand doesn't really face pressure. Everyone has to jump into Brand. The only thing that he's really scared of is Azir. And when you take care of him like that in a fight with the Rylai's, man, Yuji's been massive in this game.
Rylai's Leandri's everything. It's burning them down, and it's making it hard to actually group up in the 5v5 because that ultimate will bounce off of you and it'll take your damn life, man. Yuji's looking amazing right now. 2-1-12 on this brand. Now Dragonsteel, they're wearing purple. They got the Baron buff. It's 40 seconds before Dragon Soul spawns. They're doing the last little check boxes, marking them off before they go to LA and Sao Paulo.
Really like the Shojin on Spyrax. Doesn't need the RFC with all these tanks having to jump into him, and it really feels like you're just jumping into the meat grinder between the damage that Spyrax is doing, just being able to fire off these Qs. Yuji, of course, that brand lighting everyone on fire. As this duo from FlyC, they were never able to achieve top 4, never able to perform on stage out of the one LCS game Spyrax had when they were on FlyQuest. And now, with Dragonsteel, chance to return to finals, chance to go international to face the other top tier 2 teams we have across the Americas. This fight could spell the tickets booked for Dragonsteel, Dragon and a Half.
This could be the end right now. We're looking at a fight. Dragon Soul secured so easily thanks to that Cho'Gath. Here comes the fight right after. His mom comes down. Instinct is low. Winsome is low. Fear have to retreat. Spyrax hunting them down. Takes one. Instinct flashes forward into his demise. Dragonsteel are marching for the end.
This comp, it's online. They got a Mountain Soul, and I don't think there's any looking back here for Dragonsteel. As they drop one game in this best of series, but Dragonsteel are top dogs, about to move to an 11-0 series score, and rightfully book their tickets as the top dogs at the Riot Games Arena and at Americas.
Dragonsteel. The perfect season wasn't enough. The sins of spring must be atoned. The story of conquest and redemption will turn to its final chapter. The Saints will slay the Reapers and go marching once again to the finals.
And I mean, congrats to Dragonsteel. I gotta say, Desterux, that was a series that I felt like was so tense, but man, that break of tension in game 4 with Dragonsteel, once they got control of that map, they did not let go. I think it was really off the back of UG. That brand was so big that game.
Yes.
Again, like that beefy front line, everyone has to jump into you. Brand just dished out so much damage in that game. Look at that from UG, as he ended up being really big in a couple of those fights. I feel like it was the big difference maker for Dragonsteel in this one.
Yeah, it really was. Yuji, again, our spring MVP, currently contending for that summer MVP as well, really showing up and bringing that damage that the brand does. You called it. It burns away at these tanks. You know what else does? Zamudo on the Cho'Gath. They had the answers to stop this big old tanky front line and burn them before they could even hold the line for their backline damage. It was absolutely tremendous from Dragonsteel. What a performance. 3-1, and now secured for Los Angeles and Sao Paulo, Brazil.
I mean, it feels appropriate with the split they've been able to put together that they have the opportunity to carry it into finals, going international. I feel like, you know, deservedly so for the body of work that Dragonsteel's put in for this whole year. And now, I mean, the question is that lower bracket gauntlet that we have, who's able to represent them? Because I gotta say, I mean, Blue Water, chance at revenge against Supernova. FlyC still looks really good. Fierce Starforge put up a good fight, and they're the ones that toppled FlyC. Want a chance at revenge to them to go. I feel like it's going to be up to Fierce Starforge or FlyQuest NZXT who ends up going for that second team. And if that we end up getting that best of 5 series, it's going to be a hell of a series. But Fierce Starforge will have to wait to see who faces them on Sunday in that lower bracket.
I'm just going to throw this out. I got to throw shade at you one more time. Blue Otter,
okay.
I still believe in you guys, so don't listen to this guy. You know, don't listen. Nah. Great
Hey, it's
win.
fine. We got some good teams left, man. I'm excited.
Yeah.
There's going to be some great series coming up.
Great win nonetheless for Dragonsteel. We're going to have an interview with Scary Jerry, so we're going to throw it over a break. When we return, Cubby will catch you on the other side for said interview.
Hey, did you know that kid is vaping the same toxic chemical that's used in taxidermy? Formaldehyde?
Formaldehyde?
Formaldehyde.
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 Formaldehyde. Formaldehyde.
Formaldehyde.
Formaldehyde. Formaldehyde. Formaldehyde.
Here's a fact that'll stop you in your tracks. Teens who vape can be exposed to toxic chemicals like formaldehyde. Know the real cost.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the stream, and I'd like to be the first to welcome the victorious marksman for Dragonsteel, Scary Jerry. Man, Scary Jerry, I mean, you guys just made it to finals, just made it to America's Challengers. Man, what are the impressions qualifying for everything?
Oh man, it feels amazing. Like, I don't think we popped off like this last year. Like, of course, the stakes are so much higher. There's like a tournament in Brazil, right? So, no, we're just honestly so excited, and we've had like such a good split. And I mean, we've been practicing ever since like January, you know, pretty much all day, every day. So it just feels good. Like, obviously, job's not finished. Like, if I lose on stage again, I might just feel bad. But you know, we're happy. We're happy.
I'm glad that you guys are happy, and I know that, you know, I talked to you before this series. You mentioned just the body of work that you guys have put in throughout not just this split but the year. I've also seen that, like, for you personally, putting in some of that bonus work. You had a great post making top 10 in solo queue for the first time. Shared some notes that you had for Ezreal and Ziggs specifically as well. You got to see the Ziggs be really good at game 1 today. Like, what's kind of changed up for you in your prep as you've been getting ready for these big matches outside of just even participating in your team?
I mean, you know, last split, I was doing really well in the regular season, and then going into the playoffs, I kind of dropped off a bit. So this time I just made sure to like prioritize these last few weeks more. You know, I practiced less in the beginning, more now. And, you know, I've started like, you know, meditating and stuff too, you know, real spiritual stuff. But it's been helping too. But yeah, I mean, the work's showing it's for itself. Like, we're winning every lane here. We're beating these guys really hard, so.
Yeah, I mean, you guys found a big kill in the Varus Renata game early on, and then also just pressuring that last game as Kalista Nautilus needed into the Milio, as always. You guys played that really well. You know, talking about some of the fights on the Rift, I got to bring up. I couldn't exactly share what you said in all chat between you and XU, but it was a little bit spicy. You got the typing fingers in, you know, APA being a Maryville alum. Like, you had to channel some of that yourself.
Yeah, I mean, I'm taking these playoffs really seriously because I really want to win a championship. So I'm obviously very like emotionally invested. And, you know, after they cheesed me bot in the Zyra Khan game and I killed them 2v1, I just was like, you guys can't win lane, you got to cheese. And then XU, he got personal. He was like, Jared, you're never making LCS. And I was like, whoa, bro. Like, if I have the career that you have in the LCS, if I make it, like, I don't even want to go to the LCS. You know, so we were just kind of beefing, but it's all love. Also, Blaze Olive, in the other interview, he was like, oh, their team play carries them, but we have like better individual members. Like, obviously that's not true. They're just like getting gapped in every lane and shit and stuff. So, you know, that's it. But like, respect to them. Like, everybody in this tournament is like trying really hard. So like, obviously, like, respect to Fear for like how much work they put in. But like, you know, don't talk. You know, we beat you guys. That's it.
Well, that is for sure the case. And if they have a chance to make the lower bracket run and face you guys again in finals, I have a feeling I'm going to be hearing a little bit of this interview again, which I appreciate, you know, in the long run. Scary Jerry, congrats again, man. I want to let you go. I know that you guys probably have some team meals to get to, but before we let you go, I'd like to give the floor any thank yous or shout outs you'd like to give.
You know, I'm going to save those for the stage games. You know, we haven't won anything yet, but obviously I have a lot of people supporting me, and, you know, I just really appreciate it, and it's like helped me, you know, improve every time that I've like lost, like, you know, my family, and, you know, just the people supporting me, obviously the people in this program. So yeah, thank you guys.
Yeah, well, hey, you've got a lot of great people behind you, and you have a chance to reverse the ship of what happened with Spring on that LCS stage at the Riot Games Arena. So, Scary Jerry, congrats again to you and your team on being the first team to qualify for the finals and the America's Challengers Tournament from NACL.
Thank you.
All right, awesome. Deserex, welcome back to the stream, man. First impressions off of Scary Jerry giving us the all-chat rundown. It's kind of nice.
Oh, God. It was so spicy. I mean,
XU said true, so I feel like, you know, it's you know, they had a good laugh about it at least. But
I love banter. I love banter nonetheless. But
it's a lot of fun.
What an incredible history. Well, you know, what accolades, that's the word I'm looking for, accolades that Maryville and Dragonsteel have been able to pick up, from being the first collegiate team to qualify for the NACL and actually break into here, to be the first team to qualify for America's Challengers and participate in an international over at Sao Paulo, Brazil. This is an amazing story that we've seen from the squad, told over 3 splits. They keep improving, they keep getting better, and now again a chance at redemption to rewrite what had happened in Spring and bring that trophy home to Maryville.
Yeah, I mean, I think the body work they put in this year, it feels bad. They've taken a second place finish in both NACL and the collegiate championship. Surdy got the best of them twice, but hey, we're gonna have to see if Surdy is even able to face them in the finals this time around, as they got a long way to go in the lower bracket. And again, body work that Maryville and Dragonsteel put in, it's been impressive. So it feels very deserved that they are the first team making it to Riot Games Arena in the finals and the America's Challenge Tournament, just given what they put together in summer too. It's been a really impressive run from them. One series away from raising that trophy and having a perfect split in series score.
One series away, you say. Well, let's pull up the playoffs so we can visualize that. Dragonsteel, first team to make it to LA, first team to make it to Sao Paulo. But you can look down over at that lower bracket. It is, as you said, Cubby, gauntlet time.
All right, gauntlet time. This is going to be a fun one, guys. Supernova and Blue Otter, you can see in the bracket, a chance at revenge. Supernova win that. They have a chance at revenge against FlyC, I guess, from what happened in regular season. Regardless, I think it's going to be a really fun lower bracket run. I favor FlyC and or Fear Star Forge getting through. I think that Supernova and Blue are going to have a tough time, but hey, if you can get hot in those best of fives, pick up some momentum. We saw in the old school bracket to try and make it to Worlds that team at the lower seed, if they pick up momentum, they get things going, things can go in their favor. So I'm really excited to tune into all the best fives that we have coming up. Again, Challengers League action every single day from today to when we wrap up our final between the promotion tournament as well. So some banger series coming up. Excited to catch them all.
You know what, Cubby? Blue Otter beat FlyQuest in the regular season. They beat TLC in the regular season.
I know.
Put some respect on the name. They've earned it, man. You got to give them their own shot as well.
Well, I did. They're hating on me on Twitter, and I take it in full stride. You're hating on me here. They're right. All right. What they've been able to do is fine, but I can still give my thoughts about what's going on. And hey, if I get it wrong, they get to shut me up again, and they get to have more fun with that. So what's wrong with that?
Pretty satisfying. You got a point there. You know what?
It is.
Keep talking your trash, Cubby. Off of that note, we're done for the day, man. It has been definitely a banger, especially since we had our first team qualify. So we'll start giving our thanks over to the production, of course. Emery, Kai, Caddy, everyone who makes this possible behind the scenes. Shout out to all the players, the coaches, the staff members who give us something to cover in the very first place. And of course, shout out to you, the audience, for tuning in to our beautiful faces, of course. We are going to be rating Surdy, who, defending champion from last split, pretty good. He's a pretty good top laner, I'm just going to say. So if you want to...
make lower bracket run.
If you want to stay tuned in and maybe say hello from us, please do. But for the broadcast desk, my name has been Eric Desrex Beltran. That is Matthew Cubby Samuelson. We're going to go get some pumpkin spice lattes. See you tomorrow for more NACL.